If you're not having fun on a podcast.
Heather, we're live. We're up. We're back. How you doing?
How are you?
Good.
That was an interesting one.
You rocking the Paloma Valley sweater?
Hey, I have a son about to take the varsity field
That's rad.
for the first time.
Bleed silver, sweat blue.
He's a sophomore. I'm very, very... Did you just... Listen, maroon all day. Don't get at me. You know what? Canyon Lake is very pro-blue for Temescal. Had to put that in there. Yeah. But Paloma is playing Orange Crest in Paris tonight, so I'm super excited. We shall see how that goes. But yeah, I'm rocking my maroon.
They're playing Orange Crest, huh?
Yeah.
That'd be a fun one.
Hey.
Fun one.
Yeah, well.
Yep.
And you know what? I'll send you the stream. It's live.
Is it?
Yeah.
I would love to watch.
Yeah. They do them live now. So, because they only give each family like 3 tickets per parent.
Yeah.
I guess they kind of figure like parents are going to fight over it. Well, I mean, the parents that aren't together.
There's scalpers and shit out there trying to sell tickets.
Literally, no, I because, you know, in a lot of families in his age range, a lot of his friends, they come from, split families or whatnot. And when it came down to it, we all looked at each other and said, wait, so you want me to agree to go with my other half to... It just wasn't going to work.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
part.
so that was a problem, and the school addressed it, and then they said, okay, so we're going to do per parent if it's a split family. Now I don't feel it's really fair for the kids whose parents aren't, because they only get 3 tickets. But hey,
at least they're playing football.
That's what I'm saying.
They're out. So I'm happy to be back on this week's episode.
Right, Easter week.
This is 2 of 3.
Easter week, can you believe that?
POA candidate interviews.
Yeah.
And we got 2 this week.
2
of them. So I would like to introduce local attorney and POA board candidate.
Saw a lot of signs for him today.
Tons of signs.
Yeah, I saw him the whole way here. I was going, man.
My wife is responsible for that. She's done an amazing job.
Mr. Brian Bock, everybody.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, I think we're just going to jump right into this. We got a lot of stuff to do today.
Yes, we do.
Right? We're going to start off with just 5-10 minutes. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about where you came from, how you're involved with Canyon Lake, any committees or anything like that, whatever ties you to Canyon Lake. Tell us about yourself.
What's there to say? So I was born in a small town called New York City.
Oh.
And
sounds great.
ended up in another relatively small town called Canyon Lake. Nice. And in between, been a few different places in between, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C. Most important, met my lovely wife in, of all things, a hair salon in Beverly Hills.
Wow, sounds expensive.
Well, the funny part is, not only was it expensive, it's kind of a famous cash-only kind of place called Giuseppe Franco. A lot of famous people go there.
I know exactly where she went.
2 great things. Number 1, I met my wife there. Number 2, the best pizza place right across the street, Mulberry Street. And, but we go there all the time. But the really funny part is we both are... well, neither one of us is in the hair business. I was getting my hair cut, and she was getting it straightened, and we're both lawyers and didn't know it at the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the other funny part to that is we had both been, around L.A., but we had both sort of just gotten here a couple, I don't know, maybe 6 months before, and she and I started chatting, or I really basically harangued her a little bit while she was getting her hair done, because I saw this very beautiful young lady getting her hair, and it was all straight and gorgeous, and I thought, oh my God, it's my chance to meet the Hollywood movie star that I've been wanting.
Nice.
And it wasn't quite like that, because in the end, she actually was one of the only people that wasn't, probably like that, but she was there visiting her family, and she, turns out, was a lawyer. And not only was she a lawyer, but we were both, and this gets a little like, okay, this is a little boring lawyer love, right?
Lawyer
basically,
love.
We both practiced labor employment law, and she represented plaintiffs employing individuals, and I represented employers and defendants.
Oh. So they were on opposite ends.
So you don't have to be lonely at lawyersonly.com.
There you go. Well, in the end, the problem is that 2 things happened. Number 1 is I asked her a question. She answered it, which was probably the beginning of the end for her. And number 2 is she then at the very end said, quote, you're pretty nice for a defense lawyer. And as they say, the rest is history.
It's hard to find.
And so we actually didn't date for a little while because she, quote, well, I thought it was, quote unquote, got sick, but she actually was sick. And of course, I tested that by bringing her like soup remedy and stuff like that. And I left it on her doorstep and so forth. And, you know, tried to hear if there was a boyfriend inside and stuff. And eventually she actually went out with me a couple weeks
glass up
later.
to the door.
Yeah. Well, I actually camped out. Like I just kind of,
Just camped out.
I laid, you know, if you lay on the bottom of the door sill, you know, the doorstep,
Yeah,
whatever,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't have something, you can hear almost everything.
Oh my goodness.
Keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind, friends.
So bottom line is, a couple weeks later, we went on our first date, which then ended up in another date. I think our second date, Lakers Suns game, and then our third date was
basketball.
actually on
That's
the
a nice date.
Yeah.
Yep, I paid for that. I think. And I'm still actually paying that one off.
I was going to say that sounded expensive.
But
It
she's
sounded like it converted. So.
well, she's a funny kid because she studies well, so she knew all the stats to the point that I kind of was like, okay, I think you studied all this, and like you didn't really know this. And so, you know, lawyers, we kind of cross-examined each other, and I realized she was, you know, kind of a little bit of exaggeration there. And then, but the best ever, and the reason why we got married is because we were watching, because lawyers, you know, you date sort of, and nowadays you would do it online or,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. We dated on the phone, you know, because it was like
Yeah.
late at night, and I'm in my firm and she's in hers, and we were watching my favorite passion, which is the New York Yankees, play in, I believe it was World Series or playoffs or whatever. And Jeter gets a grounder, throws it to Cano, who throws it to first base, and she exclaimed, and it was like the moment, you know, right?
Yeah.
She's like 6-4-3 double play, and I'm like, holy cow!
That's
Wow,
my wife.
she's the one.
She's the one.
And if you know what a six,
I'm done.
So anyway, so
My
that was
brother
it.
played pro ball, so I
Yeah.
kind of know, and I
Really?
should know.
There you
My
go.
brother did, so yeah.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
we should talk about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that being said, and she's indulged me ever since, and we have two wonderful kids. My
Talented kids too. They play ball themselves.
fairly talented. Yeah, I have a young, an older one who has transitioned from being a injured sports player. Both go to Santa Rosa Academy.
Oh, I love
And
Santa Rosa, yeah.
he injured his shoulder a couple of years ago, so he kind of got it out of the business. But he's in the baseball business because he works with a program that we're part of called Canes. Plug for you, Alan Dykstra.
What's
and
that?
And
Oh,
Alan,
yeah.
you
I've
know
heard of
Alan.
that. Yeah.
And so anyway. Long story short is he's their data analytics, kind of like Moneyball.
Oh, really?
And he also
Moneyball is one of my favorite movies.
created and
really
runs
cool.
their store, their online store.
That's really
so
cool.
anytime you need like online development and stuff, Sam.
And this is your
Sam-
son that's
yeah,
doing
he's
this
pretty
part,
incredible.
right?
That's insane.
Yeah, actually, I'd
Is
like
this
to
the one
read.
who's getting ready to go to college?
Yeah, he's going to. I don't know where he's going yet. So
Yeah.
we won't leave. We'll leave that for next
Okay.
time. But bottom line is, I should probably just read his resume. It's a lot better than mine, frankly. But in any event, and then my other son, who's also pretty impressive at the age of 11, 12 next week, Dad, or 2
Oh, that's cool. Happy birthday, bud.
He's the baseball player, football player, comedian, future lawyer. So yeah.
Very cool.
So we have a lot of fun. Of course, and the most important, arguably most important person in our household besides my wife is my two boys, I guess. It's certainly above me is Winfield, our dog.
I thought they were going to say a fur baby.
That's
I
a
knew
cool.
it was
That's a cool name for a dog.
We
too.
had choices.
Winfield.
We put them all on the wall.
That's cool.
And we had Jeter and Cano and all these things. And the boys actually chose Winfield, I think partly because he was my favorite player.
So
That's cool.
they're hooking up. Their
It kind of
dad.
works.
That's really
Kinda
cool.
works.
Really cool.
So that's enough about me. What do you think about me? So anyway, I don't know. What else? What else you want to know?
How long have you lived in the
I
lake?
was just gonna ask the same question.
Yeah, I know you have a law practice at the main gate. I know that you're definitely well seated into Canyon Lake. But
Thank you.
How long you lived here, and what do you like the most about Canyon Lake?
Okay. I always say just under 10 years, and my wife is very precise. She's like 8 years and 9 months. So bottom
Same
line
with
is,
mine,
it's a question because how long we moved in versus when we got in our house kind of thing. So we proudly live Main Lake above vacation, the most amazing house. We looked at 12 houses in one day, literally.
Wow.
And like any good real estate person, they showed us the most expensive, nicest one last. Except you should know your people because my time is worth something. And I basically said to the person, "Did you
You're
not think this
wasting
wouldn't be
my
the one?"
time.
Yeah, why didn't you just take me here first?
So in the future, you got to kind of assess that before you do that. But bottom line is,
Noted.
I looked at things that I swear to God, it was like an underground bunker in a couple of places. There was one. It's probably still there. I don't know because no one probably did anything. But it had like dirt and a basement.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly what you're talking
And I'm
about.
like, at night, you don't like worry about creatures like climbing up
coming
your
in
leg
here?
or something. I was like, oh no, it's a great office.
There's a lot of that here.
So we live in a pretty great place. How we got here is kind of like everyone's story. We wanted it was the big. Well, it was kind of the after the boom and during the I don't know what you call it, but a lot of homes were on
right after
foreclosure
09.
and all that stuff. Not in Canyon Lake, though, interestingly.
Yeah.
And so we looked around Riverside County. I'd moved my office to the Corona Riverside area. And I used to be in a big firm. I used to be in 2 big firms back to back. And in the end, hope I didn't break something.
No, you're good. You're good.
And we moved to here with, because my wife said, quote, "I really want to be on water," and she sought up in Riverside with Lake Matthews. And I said, well,
Okay.
that's great, except you can't be on
Can't
it.
be
You
on
can
it,
just
yeah.
look at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So we looked at homes up there and decided, after she said, well, where else can we be? And I said, well, and I kind of Googled around and I thought, I've heard of it. And I represent school districts, by the way, almost exclusively. A lot of my businesses are, now I do private sector things or whatever, but a lot of my clients are public school districts. And I worked for years with Elsinore, worked for years with Menifee when it was a hut and you couldn't even find, literally, you had to like go, where's the exit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had stop
And-
signs instead of street lights. And I
so,
still remember Newport Road like
so
that.
it's really funny. It wasn't called Newport at the time. I think it was called something else. But
it's
it was
always
just
been
called.
called
It was just
Newport
called. It was just called. Oh, really? I thought it was just called Road. Like you just. But
Well, the old Newport is a whole different.
Yes,
road
a
now.
very
So-
different street, yeah.
so
Normandy, I think.
there you go. We ended up. I'd never been here,
Yeah.
and
It's
I
the
was
best
like,
kept secret in SoCal.
well, I
Yeah.
never drove
Guaranteed.
like up the hill, and I never drove
Down
from
the other way,
Menifee
yeah.
this way. It was kind of crazy. And all of a sudden, I did that one day, and I probably snuck in the gate or something. I don't remember. And I said, "Oh my God!" And I
What is this?
took like a picture
Where
too.
am
And I
I?
said, "Honey,"
We're moving here.
Honey, stop the car.
I said, "We're moving to Beverly Hills, or
Yeah.
moving from Beverly." We weren't in Beverly Hills. We were in Altaloma, Rancho Cucamonga. And so, in the end, we've been here almost 10 years. We've really established roots here. What do we love about it? What other place in the world is nicknamed a little bit of paradise?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Not a lot, just a little bit, but no, it's actually a lot of paradise.
Yeah, it really is.
If you grew up like places like I did, a 1.5 bedroom apartment in the Bronx, it was nice, but you had
my
no
dad
idea.
was from too. My dad was from the Bronx.
No,
yeah.
get out.
Born and raised, I
Get
swear.
out. Really?
Yeah, my mom was from Toms River,
We
New
gotta-
Jersey, and
okay, we
dad
gotta
was from the
compare
Bronx.
notes.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Harvey Levin, right? Harvey
Yeah,
Levin.
yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
We got to. I probably
Harvey
went to.
Levin, yeah,
Although
there
I
you
was gonna
go.
say you might be a little younger, so I might have gone to high school with him. But in any event,
Can we get a Harvey Levin soundbite?
Right?
I'm a lawyer.
lawyer. There you go. So I lose my track sometimes.
Sorry.
So a little bit. So anyway, so we come to Canyon Lake, and where else? Literally, you walk in, and the first thing you have to do buy a boat and a golf cart.
Yeah, the whole thing.
And we did.
Yeah.
Bought the wrong boat for a couple of years. Now I have a
Everybody does.
nice big pontoon.
Yeah.
and just literally yesterday took an hour for lunch and met my kids over at the boat and jumped on.
I saw
It was
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was the best
That
thing
was
ever.
rad. We were on the boat.
Yeah, we went out right after that. But
I think I did see
we
that.
we couldn't go through the tunnel. It's just.
I don't think we'll
the
ever
water-
be able to.
The
It's
water's
like
too high.
our boat is just way too big.
Yeah.
So, but actually, how we got to open the firm here is a little bit just a 2-minute thing. It's just basically my wife and I are kind of young old, I guess. We have a younger kid and a slightly older kid, but we also are a little bit older than the rest of you guys. But for all these years, we're kind of the older parents. But at a point now where, in my old firm in particular, guys were like and ladies were like almost reading off their like sentence, like how much longer they had.
Really?
I got 12 and a half
Wow.
more. And I said to myself, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
no.
And so, so very long, I mean, it wasn't that long a story. My wife and I decided, actually, she said simultaneously the opposite, which she hadn't been in work for a while because she'd raised our kids who've been pretty great because of it.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'm thinking of going back into law.
Yeah.
And it was good that we talked to each other at the time because sometimes, that would have been funny if she got a job without me. But basically, I said, well, if you're thinking about doing something and I'm thinking about it, we should maybe think about this.
Yeah.
Do it together.
And so we created Proactive Legal, with a little plug there. But the reality is, it's the Bock Law Group, but we have about 4 or 5, 6 others that I've worked with for years and some brand new that have just come in. And so we do a lot of different things. And the coolest part is we're constantly like learning and developing. And so I have a couple clients that have literally just walked in the door, like in the middle of the day, like, hey,
Yeah.
can you help me? And others, we've had friends for years. And the really funny part is my dad was a sole practitioner in New York, which is kind of crazy because most people big firms.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like what goes around comes around. And so it's kind of like almost, heartwarming there. The funny part for my wife is everyone in her family on the male side is lawyers and all the women are teachers.
Oh,
Really?
And so she broke the mold
Interesting.
there. And so so she, is back doing law. And her focus is really on helping people. And mine's not like on not helping people, but I help people in different
I
ways.
see.
So she's more, she's doing more of estate planning and
Nice.
wealth management kind of thing. And that's
That's
kind of
good.
exciting,
really cool.
especially here.
I see a lot of people asking about that on the local pages all the time.
Yeah.
Who do I go to for a trust? Who do I go
And
to for?
yeah, and if anyone, Judith is just amazing with that, and she's all about the relationship and the people and the and very. I mean, she's always been like great at sales without selling, and so. And in my case, I do a lot of work with businesses, labor employment, and we're doing some collection of debts, but not like the New York way, but more like the legal way.
Yeah, I get it.
And
No mafia
it's kind
way.
of cool. It's kind of cool. It's actually a lot of fun. We
That's
have a couple
awesome.
of really big cases from private sector businesses in the lake and outside the area, but I still have like my whole day today. I mean, I can't even tell you some of the stuff. You kids won't go to school anymore. But basically, I have situations all over the state of California and even in Arizona. I work there too, and it's just kind of interesting, exciting. So the best part is we're able to put all that together, bring it to Canyon Lake, and 3-4 days a week I drive my golf cart to work, which would have been very hard going up the 15
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
No, we
I
certainly
agree.
enjoy having legal services as the main gate. We've always had.
Well, there's a few there.
Well, just really 2 now. One of them's trial lawyers. Then
There's a few
you
others.
guys are.
Yeah.
Is there a couple more? Oh yeah, Casey Castillo.
Some
has
woman
a-
named
Yeah.
Castillo. I was
Yeah.
about to say.
I was
that.
gonna say,
I
yeah,
just saw a
she's
picture.
pretty, yeah.
Well, she's got an office in Riverside too, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But she actually, I would say, gave me the idea. But when I saw her open her office, I'm like,
Ah,
I
see,
can't-
I always
I-
just knew of John, and that was it. Just
Yeah.
a Giardinelli,
there's a
yeah.
few others.
He moved to Hawaii. I heard.
Yeah, he
There's a
did.
few others.
I did. I talked to him before he
I know
left.
Mary Dimler Long just sold his place.
I did. I literally cried.
And truth be told, I'll plug my amazing, hopefully it'll lower our rent. I'll say suite mate, but really he's my landlord. He's just nicer than most landlords. Glenn Biondi is a pretty
Oh
very
good
yeah,
lawyer.
he's a
Good
great,
dude.
great
And,
person.
and
whole
the best
Biondi
part is
family's
that
great.
well, the Biondi family's great, and they happen to also have the East Coast connection,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Oh, yeah.
we get a lot of that, with his brother and me and everybody, and we're all Yankee fans, which is even better.
Very
that's great.
cool.
Oh, good deal. Well, let's jump into some questions here. Huh?
Oh, I thought I was ready to go. Sorry.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Nice to meet you, Brian. Have a good day.
Vote for me.
Yeah. So all candidates are going to be asked the same 10 questions. Renee Griffiths already answered last week. That show's available on my page, Canyon Lake, California Community Super Official page, and also YouTube.
Super.
Super
Don't forget
official.
the super official.
We had to do
No
something to
comment.
make it stand
No.
out so people would be able to find these episodes. I get so many messages in my inbox
How do I find
from
you?
people I don't know, and they're like, I want to see these podcasts. Where are they
Yeah,
at?
yeah.
So
That was me, by the way.
yeah, you were one of them.
Yeah.
But no, there's a bunch of others. But at any rate, all the candidates have had access to the questions prior to coming on the show. We did not write these questions ourselves. We kind of tailored them, but we put out feelers on a local page here in Canyon Lake about what the citizens wanted to know about the candidates. So here we go.
Let's go. You want to go first or you want me to?
Sure, I'll go.
Let's go.
Why not? Question number 1. Many POA members believe the POA has a problem with overspending on projects and certain proposed amenities. Do you believe that the POA overspends or not, and why do you believe that?
Or not. No, I'd say, so you want actually explanation, not just yes or no.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. I think that the word overspend can mean different things to different people. Using the dog park, which is the latest, greatest, $98,000, da-da-da-da. So I don't know what a dog park should cost, but it seems like a large number.
Right.
But
Yeah.
two things. Number one, the small dog park, which is where Winfield loves to go,
Right.
was redone once or twice over the last year or two, and the big dog park has not been touched.
Yeah.
To the point that I look at it and go, why is there a big pile of dirt there?
Yes.
So that being said, it might be the right time to do it. Or right, maybe not the right time, but time to do something.
Yeah.
Now, should it be 52, 98, or 100? I don't know exactly. What I do know is many people in the industry, so to speak, construction or what have you, say what they're doing, when you look at the pictures, looks like it could be done for, whatever,
X amount of
something
dollars,
less.
yeah.
So the question is, why is that the case? If that's true or not, I hear this a lot in my world because I represent public school districts where people, I always say there's 6 sides to every story and people have opinions about everything. But frankly, I rely upon experts. And so 2 things. Number one is I wouldn't say every single project, but we certainly need to dissect them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sierra North is the other one. $2 million. Well, $2 million means different things. I mean, some of that is, a great deal of that is beyond the pump track.
Right.
Things that we never even contemplated before. I was on the original, even today, I think I actually posted on that pump track Facebook page, which if you're not on, there's like 500 people.
Yeah.
But I remember like 3 or 4 people saying, wouldn't that be a great idea because someone saw it in Temecula or something.
Right.
So long story short is you could build a pump track for $500,000, but it won't look like Sierra North. On the other hand, is that 2 million or it should be 1.5? I don't know. So I will tell you
Sounds like
this.
huge numbers.
I think you
Really
have to
big
look
numbers.
into it, but I'm not there to second guess everything the POA has done.
Sure.
Because I can also say, and maybe it doesn't. Winning or losing a campaign, in my opinion, or this election is not about winning or losing. It's about doing what's best for Canyon Lake. So I will say I like what I've seen. I like Happy Camp redone. I like some of these things. But in the end, in this economy, and I don't, everyone's in different places, but bottom line is, I think to say we're going to throw, a $98,000 or $2 million at something right now is probably just bad timing. But I can't tell you it's overspending. I can tell you that I like nice things, and I would hope that these bids are done competitively through the proper process.
Agreed.
And in the end, I have heard, maybe it's sometimes sour grapes, but I've heard people say, well, I put in and I had a much lower bid and I didn't get it.
I see,
That,
yeah.
That's not saying, by the way, I don't want defamation or anything. That's not saying that's true. It's just what I've heard.
Yeah.
So in the end, I will say I'm uncertain to say. I certainly, have to hedge and say I don't think we've been overspending, but we might want to be looking at how those things, how we're doing it.
Got it.
And I'll tell you right now that upon election, I know that myself and I know some of the others would probably be looking at each current project that hasn't been committed to in full, like we
Yeah.
haven't broken
Yeah.
ground,
Yeah.
we haven't bought everything, and say, is this the right amount? Is this was it the right process? And frankly, is it the right timing?
Yeah.
And Sierra is a good example. It might come up later in your discussion.
Yeah, we have some
Yeah, we
other
have a
questions
couple
that kind of
questions for you.
surround this
I'll come
whole
back to
thing.
it because I have a
Sure.
plan for Sierra.
Okay. Alrighty, question number 2. Here, I'll put it so I can read it. Many POA members believe they should have a vote or a say in decisions made by the board. Do you agree? And if so, how will you implement a system that will allow members to be involved in decision making regarding rules and spending?
Okay. Okay, so a couple things. There are interesting words there. Let's see. So in terms of decision making,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that you elect a panel or a slate of representatives.
Right.
And I tend to go back to what I know, okay? School districts, government, things like that. In some cases, you're elected by a region, the North Lake, the South, whatever.
Right.
We don't do that.
Right.
So you represent the entirety,
Yeah.
okay? We call it trustee districts in schools, okay? In this case, and I know that's probably, my wife's like, stop talking like that. But bottom line is, what I'm getting at is we represent everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I think that I want to hear from people. We've talked about, in fact, I wrote about in a couple different recent publications and things where, sometimes we're just kind of riffing on online or whatever, that I think it will be helpful. And I think, the POA is doing more of that in terms of solicitation of information or more about putting out information. But I think we need to know more about solicitation to begin with.
I see.
And I think it could be a combination. I mean, there's polling. I actually grew up in the survey polling business before I went to law school, so I know a little about that. But
Sounds
I think
like fun.
that yeah,
Sounds like
market
tons of
research
fun,
we
yeah.
like to call it. But what I was going to say is I think we need to give people a greater voice
Yeah.
beforehand. So, example, Sierra's a good example. There's some topics, right? Like, I don't something happened in the north of the lake, things like that. I think people need to have the ability to chime in. But I also heard from people at some meetings and get-togethers that we should be able to, like every board decision, literally, should go to the public and they should then chime in before the decision's made. I will say I disagree on every decision because there are some decisions like should we, put this light or that light in and buy 1,000 of them.
It would slow the process.
It would slow the
down.
process down and frankly take away what you're doing here, which is electing officials to represent you.
To have a voice for us, yeah.
The day we don't represent is the day you say, get out. And I'll put that up there. If you don't think I'm representing your interests, and I'm not talking you down on this street and this situation. But bottom line is that's the day you vote someone out or otherwise. So my answer is I want your input. I created, and I won't take it down. I might change the name, but I created a page on Facebook. Well, I won't change the name, Be the Change, but it's Bock for POA. So I still guess would be for POA, but if I'm elected, I might change that part. Be the Change is the concept that it kind of like was a name I came up with after I came up with the concept. And then I found out some guy named Gandhi actually came up with it. And the really good news is I Googled it.
I've heard of him.
I Googled it after I put it out there, which was a little dicey because it could have been much worse. But bottom line is Gandhi, had be the change you want people to be. And so how that relates is basically I want the change, and people have said to me, well, you are the change. I want to vote for you. And I said, no, you missed it. You're the change. You might put in the order, but I need you to come forward. I need you to be involved. And so we're going to put things out and use more ability to have people in the public give us their input. But it has to be beforehand. And, obviously we have some other examples.
Sounds like that Facebook page would be a perfect avenue to do
avenue
it.
to go,
I have about 100 members.
Awesome.
And, I put things out and people respond. And it's been really positive.
If you do get elected, even if you don't, for all of our viewers, go join that page. What is it again?
Thank you.
Bock.
Be the change.
Be the change.
Hashtag Be the Change.
Yeah,
Or
go find
Bock
the
for
Facebook
POA.
page. Yeah, and if you do get elected, that's a direct way to voice your concerns or what your ideas are for the community.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
I know candidate one or two in the past actually had like coffee clutches back when you could actually meet with people in person on a regular basis, and so we could kind of bring those things back over time as well. Not after. See, the key part is a lot of people do things to get elected, and then it ends up going away. I don't want to do that.
They go do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Question 3. Are you in favor of increasing or decreasing POA dues? And how do you support your position on how or why dues should increase or decrease?
Okay. Again, it's not really a this or that.
Yeah.
I would say the following. We've been here 10 years, and almost every year they've increased. I can recall maybe in the beginning either slight or maybe 1 or 2 years it didn't. One year it actually went down, and we'll come back to that in a second. So there's a couple schools here. One, or a couple, I mean, we're in COVID, we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
I have heard on the good news that really people aren't really in arrears too much. And sometimes the arrears occur for other reasons as well. So that's good news. But the bad news is I actually went out to the North Lake about, the events out there. We'll come back to that. But what happened afterwards, about 6 families were there. And they said, and they were concerned with the North Lake issue, but they said, bigger than that, we got to talk about this. And what are we going to do? And they said, we just can't afford this every year, $27, $30, whatever a year, a month rather. And so, some people can afford it, some people can't. I think in the end, I think what we need to do right now is take that concept of the annual dues increase out of the picture.
Yeah.
So I have talked to some people in the know, both people who have been in other boards here as well as others. And my understanding is it's not something that has to be done every year. It doesn't have to be done every, January this fiscal year. So I'm going to say this. We need to first study what we have been spending on, all those things we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
We have to slow things down. If we can wait a year on a project without it becoming a problem, do that. But in the meantime, I would say we cannot increase dues, especially at the number and level that we've done in the past on what seemed to be an annual basis.
Yeah.
And even the increase we have this year, which is partial, I think is enough for now. Now, what I've heard is you'll go into deficit and reduce the reserve. And I think you have a question on that too. So maybe I'll just cut to that a little bit. But what I understand, I did some research on this. And I've heard you go in the reserve and then you're in trouble. You go under 30%. And similar to school districts, they have reserve numbers. It could affect your home values and so forth. You guys are in real estate, so I'll go to the real estate experts. I won't inquire, right this second. But basically, my understanding is if you have a small condo association in San Diego, it could affect you. Canyon Lake, I don't think number one, our values have not gone down. And number two, I don't think they're going to go down. So if we said, let's put a moratorium on dues increases for some part of 2022 until, let's say, the second, basically the second quarter, into the either the following year or towards the end of the year, before we even think about the question.
Sure.
See where we are. Now, I might, I've heard, we're still catching up. I mentioned the rebate or the money that came back a couple of years ago. Apparently that was decided on the board, and apparently we're still catching up to that as well as inflation. So it's a grappling point. But I would say that I will do everything in my power to not allow a dues increase unless it's absolutely necessary.
Very
Good answer.
Do you believe you have the ability to represent the entire community with neutral? Why can I not say this word?
Neutrality.
Thank you. Neutrality, and not based on your personal opinions or pander to specific groups, clubs, or friends?
Absolutely. I was going to make a joke that would assume I had friends.
Please do, because I can't read.
But I have a lot of Facebook friends. Have you ever had that's where people
I
come
have
up
a
to
lot
you?
of Instagram friends too.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
You should watch that, by the way. I've seen your Instagram. But bottom line is, I don't even know Instagram, so you don't have to look for my pictures there. But bottom line is, I would say, the word pander. I'll differ with that. I will never, I wrote, and you can write stuff and you can really write stuff that's, you believe in. And when I wrote my, position to run, I said, this is simple. I'm going to do what is right, just pragmatic and civil manner at all times. I live my life on integrity, fairness, transparency, civility, decorum. But most important is I'm not afraid. I grew up in New York. I'm not afraid. I walked down the streets of New York many times. Yeah. But also I grew up, a little bit about me. My father passed away when I was 12. My mom was an interesting lady, but at times I was sort of raising her. And bottom line is, we all come from different lives.
Yeah.
And even recently with some of the issues we've been facing, one of the things I do is I face things head on. I call you up.
Yep.
I say, let's talk. And so it goes a little bit into other problems or other concerns. But I would say this, I live my life on I advocate for clients, but in terms of being, I guess the word neutral, in a position like this, you have to put away your personal beliefs and feelings.
Yeah.
There's no lawyers club, so I'm not supporting, that
Sure.
or something
Yeah.
like that. But I'm not, so in fact, I don't think, for good or for bad, we joined a couple of these, the streets and the golf, but I'm not really involved in those.
Yeah.
I'm involved in family groups. I'm involved in the newbies, which has become
Yeah.
kind of a new family
That's a
group,
hit.
even though we're
That's
kind
Super
of.
hit. I'm like, are we not
Yeah.
like? Can we start an OG club?
Canyon Lake
So
Newbies.
I was going to say, I'm
Canyon
not
Lake
the
OGs.
newbie, but Brad let us in, and
Yeah.
we haven't
Brad's
stopped
a
since.
super good guy.
So
I'm
but
gonna
what
apply.
But in the end, if somebody came to me and said, we want special use, I would say, no, you got to fill out the form to use the facilities.
Right.
The same thing, when you talk about, some of these like amenities and things like that, that might be one of the other questions. But in the answer, short is my personal opinions. I can't change. You probably have some ideas about me, but a lot of people don't really understand. I've changed, my life has changed over a lot of times. And in the end of the day, most important thing is to listen to people, to take it in, and then make the decision that is right under that circumstance.
Agree.
And for the greater good, for the better of Canyon Lake. And it's not better of one group in Canyon Lake or some certain entity and group of friends or
I
whatever.
agree.
All right.
Great answer.
We're running a little short on time. You do have really good
Answers.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
No, please. Yeah, we want
I
you to be
expected
able
the
to
lawyer
get
to have long
everything out.
answers for us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect. Vagueness or super good answers, but
This is billable, right? Or not?
yeah, right. Yeah. Send me an email.
Yeah, please.
I'll have Liz pay it.
Okay.
It's my turn, right?
Yep.
Okay. How do you plan to settle the flag dispute without violating the First Amendment and bring the community together on this issue?
Okay.
And do you agree or disagree with the emergency rule banning flags?
Okay. So I've said from literally day one, and I can't recall chicken or the egg if it was actually literally before I declared or not, so I won't say definitively, but I have to strongly disagree with, frankly, President Poland, who I've not met, but I've heard good things about as a person, but I think he kind of missed that one. And I don't say kind of. Frankly,
Dead
I know what an emergency rule is, and I know what it isn't.
Yeah.
I know there were concerns, and there still are concerns, but to do it that way did one thing that was really, really horrible, and that is it is dissolved, frankly, disintegrated whatever trust there might have been in his leadership and
Agreed.
the POA. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's my personal view, regardless. And I wrote it. I think I wrote it in here, actually. Yeah, I did, because my wife, for many years, said, people said the last election, you should run. I said, why? I don't really see the reason to. And then on top of that, my wife said, over my dead body, I'll divorce him because it's been kind of messy,
Yeah.
golfers and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
But this time, she and others said, you need to run, because why? They need kind of an understanding, not like I'm going to be the lawyer for the POA,
Right,
but an
Yeah.
understanding of how to do things properly.
Right.
And I think the problem is that with something like that, it basically destroyed it for all sides, because we started with basically in a hole. Now we're climbing out of, and we're still not out of it, because it got worse, because
Feel like we're in a
the rule got
tailspin.
amended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
The rule got amended, and then all of a sudden we had the workshop, which opened up the rule again, which frankly had some questions in my opinion. There was no facilitator neutral, there was no lawyer on call, things like that. Ultimately, I think this has been a mess, and
big
I
time.
think we made a term I use, a situation out of a situation that didn't have to be a situation. And you mentioned First Amendment, and I'm not going to give you a legal treatise. I'll
Sure.
tell you to Google
Yeah.
it and simply say, like a public school district, but similar in this case, HOA, there are limits and controls, but you basically still live, obviously, in the United States. So I think we're at a point now where rather than discuss whether it's this right or that right, the current state of the revised proposal, I think there's a lot of agreement from, I say both sides, from the majority of people, wherever you are, profanity, F this and do that. We don't need it. I don't fly that. I don't have a flag really to fly anyway. But when you start, and I used this term before, using terms that create a slippery slope, originally it was your past politician. I mean, that's crazy. I put a flag on my cart. I still have it there. That's of George Washington because he's kind of like my favorite.
Yeah.
But in the end,
That's your
that
choice,
would
yeah.
be that would be in violation. Now, that was, I think, poor, short-sighted, and frankly, the whole thing became divisive.
A knee-jerk reaction.
I don't know if it was knee-jerk as much as just a solution, in theory, to create a bigger problem than the solution could ever fix. So.
Good.
I can tell you right now, I personally think that the POA should hold off. I would like the following. I'd like correct study done with experts, or, it sounds very expensive. It's not. You can hire someone who's a legislative expert for a couple $1,000 to look at it.
Yeah.
Craft legislation. There are people in Sacramento, that's all they do. They're lobbyists kind of people, the same people. Have legal counsel, perhaps different than the counsel we have currently, to give a fresh eyes on the thing.
Yeah.
Because I've heard, well, legal approved it and so forth. Well, no, I can't tell you a lawyer approved the word emergency. That was just fatal.
Yeah.
So anyway, all that being said, and I think you need to involve the people. And so I have some ideas along those lines, including, I guess I'll throw it out there, having kind of a bipartisan committee, which is either to study revising the current proposal, or if the current proposal comes in, a committee to work on how to implement it and frankly bring people together.
Yeah.
Right.
We did
I like
9/11. You've heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
heard of
event?
it.
Okay, well, my wife, her plan for this year, we'll put it out there too. If you say it, it'll be, what's that?
If you build
make
it,
it
they
so,
will
make
come.
it so.
Yeah.
Is 9/12, the day of unity. Do you remember 9/11?
Oh,
You might be.
I
Yeah, that's
remember.
great.
The day after
I
9/11,
remember.
everyone hugged each other.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
So we need to go back to that.
I wish we could get
And
there.
we need to unify.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not just a hug on camera. It's
Yeah.
really meaning that and bringing people
I
back
agree with
together.
I like that.
I
we
like
should
that.
make a
I like
push
that.
for 9/12.
I agree with that too.
Well, you can join the committee.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in.
I'm in.
Judith.
You know me.
I told you, I saw that guy with the hug sign and everybody was all about it. All right. Some members are calling for the Rules and Regulations Committee to be reinstated. What is your view on this matter?
Interesting. So unless I missed something, my understanding is the Rules and Regulation Committee exists. It's called an ad hoc committee at this point, which is another lawyer way of saying it's like you can bring it in, pull it out, turn it on, turn it off.
When needed.
Absolutely. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Was that
Fair
a year
enough.
of law school,
Yeah,
was it?
Knuckles. Yeah, right.
Latin, no less. So that being said,
My godmother was an attorney.
I will absolutely use it when it is needed.
Got it.
So, for example, this situation here, I don't know you need the Rules and Regulation Committee that exists because I think you need a bipartisan committee. I think you need a separate ad hoc, using
yeah.
that word again. But I think that the reason it exists is to have a committee study certain situations. I heard, and this is, I think we talked about earlier, no defamation to those involved, but basically they would get kind of caught up, kind of like The Wire gets caught up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good.
Into situations beyond where their scope was.
Yeah.
So one thing about me is I have a lot of attorneys working for me and so forth, and I say, here's our plan, here's the scope, here's how you do it. And if they start going out here,
Don't get out
we
of
got to
your
bring them
scope.
back.
Yeah.
And
Stay in
so
your
I think
lane,
that
yeah.
it's dangerous. You can't have the basically exceptions swallow the rules. So bottom line is, I think that it exists, and given a circumstance, we would consider bringing it back into existence for a certain circumstance. Absolutely.
Agreed.
So this question kind of ties into that question a little bit. The North Ski Area is a common interest area, open to all dues-paying POA members, yet the Water Ski Club has received a ruling from the board to only allow water skiers to use the front portion of that, even if the ski club is not using it. Yeah. Would you voted in favor of this? Basically, really a yes or no question.
Okay. Well, based on what I saw the night of, and what I read prior to that, and that kind of leads to some points that we talked about earlier, I would not have voted in favor because I just didn't see it as the proper solution to the problem at this time. The last resort, in a resort, pun intended. The last resort is to limit an amenity available to all.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like if softball players were using bad cleats, sorry, softball, or baseball cleat,
Sure.
you wouldn't say, well, no more softball on golf field, only baseball.
'Cause
Okay?
the cleats
You'd
tear up
say-
the dirt a little
you'd
bit more than the other.
And we have that, by the way, in
Yeah.
travel ball. People use.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You can't use
okay.
cleats on this and that.
Oh, great.
On the turf mound. And if you do it, you say, hey, listen, you're in trouble. Don't do that. Or that doesn't work. You then say, let's sit down and talk. Proactive is my life, right?
Yeah.
Proactive is my literally name.
Proactively.
Bottom line is, I'm a certified mediator. I'm not, let's say, offering my services as much as the concept.
Yeah.
Now, I understand, and I talk to people, so there was a sit down of sorts that didn't go very well. I do a lot of labor negotiations, bargaining, and if it doesn't go well the first night, it doesn't mean you're done.
Yeah.
In fact, to the contrary, in some cases, New York with the MTA or whatever, they don't allow you to be done. They force you back in. So I personally believe that either the board or an ad hoc committee should have and should still sit down with both groups and say, we're going to stay in this room and we're going to work it out. Because I think there are solutions. I've also heard some little things like they only use the towers for this and they could move the tower. I don't really
Yeah.
understand all that. I'll be frank. Okay. I'm still learning, but I that night do not think it was a proper thing to vote in favor of. No.
Okay.
Nice.
Because of the amenity issue. It's like I play golf.
Well, it's a
you know.
POA. It's a POA amenity, and everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never done either one, so I can't tell you from my personal, but I've heard
Sure.
from people. And actually, I met a few skiers, and I won't name names, but they disagree with their own club, or you know, and that leads
Sure.
to another thing. Without
Yeah.
besmirching Mr. Nathan, if you ask my opinion, he never should be involved in the issue.
Yeah.
The night of the event, the board president said it's not a legal conflict, and he might have been right because financially it might not be, but it was a appearance of conflict.
Yeah.
That you're so involved in a situation even prior to be involved in it that night, let alone put forth the evidence and then vote for it, I think was problematic at best.
Right. Okay, many POA ran amenities run at a financial loss, including the golf course and the Lighthouse restaurant. How do you plan to help them cash flow neutral or cash flow positive?
Okay.
And we are tight on time. So
I'm
if
tight
we
on
can
time
keep it
too.
under
I'm
2
going to go with
minutes.
this. I'm going to tell you that the 10 years I've lived here, this has been a debate and frankly, knocked down, dragged through the mud kind of situation, which is why my wife didn't want me to be on the POA. I don't think it's as much of an issue anymore for a couple things. Number one, I think both entities are doing a lot better. There's been talk of making either one private. There was talk of knocking them, the golf course down and putting how. I'm not going to say that. By the
Yeah.
way. I moved here to have a golf course.
like, what?
I
Yeah.
moved here to have a
It'll never
lighthouse.
work.
That will never
It
happen.
would never work.
I know, but that was talk. You're too young to remember.
all, nah.
It was all over, back then. And I was on those comments, and I said to the people, I think there's some issues here, but on the other hand, this isn't the way to solve it.
Yeah.
We live in an amenity community. There's
Yeah.
nothing like it. When you
Yeah.
ask why we moved here, because there's nothing
For the
like
amenities,
it.
yeah.
I literally live on vacation,
Yeah,
drive,
100%.
but
Yeah.
I am on vacation all the
vacation,
time.
All the
too.
time.
So the point is that the lake loses money, the equestrian loses money because they're amenities. They're not
Yeah.
businesses. You could make that golf course, $1 million golf course, sell it to foreign entities. You'll never get to play golf there again.
Right.
Okay. And if you did, it'd be $175.
Yeah.
So bottom line is absolutely not change things, but look at what they've been doing. I remember a couple of years we made outside memberships. Those have increased.
I like
Is it
that.
working? I've also
Yeah.
I
heard
like
that
that a
now
lot.
it's harder to get a tee time. So
helping.
I think it's a balancing act, but I also think we're kind of past that, in my opinion. In fact, someone asked me, "What's your opinion on the golf issue this year?" And I had to nicely say to the person, "I'm not sure there is one this year,
Yeah, I think
but
it's been-
maybe. I think it's the same issue."
Yeah.
I'd like to add one little piece to that for all of the community members who posted this question, or they're worried about running in the negative, right? The lodge and the country club have some of the best food around.
Go eat
Now
They
there.
have some of the best drinks,
Now they-
right? Service is good most of the time. Sometimes a little shaky, but the food's great.
Food's
And if
great.
you want to support the POA, you don't want to go negative. Instead of going up to the main
Well-
gate, sometimes
Go to the Lighthouse.
go to the
I do,
lighthouse.
almost every night.
Go to the country club.
I'm going to raise my hand and say, "Here's a reality check.
Yeah.
If this was Coto de Caso, or if this was Hidden Hills or whatever, you would be required to spend X amount every month.
Oh, really?
Oh,
at-
wow.
Oh, absolutely.
know that.
In addition to your dues. So
Wow.
we want to talk about a nasty little secret?
You got to support. If you want to
Support
support,
your
I'm not.
community,
Wait,
be
wait.
people.
If
But
you
let
wanna
me
beat
let me
your
be clear
drum.
for my wife here. I did not say I was proposing that. I was
Yeah.
telling you that
Yeah.
that is the comparison
yes.
data.
Yeah.
Yes.
And bottom line is, or a country club that I, not would belong to, but know of in New York, that kind of thing. You had, I forgot what they
To
call it.
spend an
but
amount of money every
it's,
month.
it's
Yeah.
a, it's a
Yeah.
requirement
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
due of membership.
Wow.
We do not do that.
Wow.
And I would say the food has been amazing.
It is amazing.
The management has been
It's
so much better.
impeccable.
Now, I'm going to try to meet with some of those groups and see what they're doing and what we could do better. But there's a lot of balance here,
Yeah.
and in the end, I think
They're
it
great
also,
places.
If
They're
it ain't
beautiful
broke, don't
places.
fix it. Is
Yeah.
one of my big
Yeah.
rules.
We just
so
need
let's
to
see if
encourage
it's
more
broke.
people to get in there.
Agreed.
And do
Let's see if it's
business.
broke. I don't think it's broke.
It's a beautiful place. So, am I next? Or
Yes,
next?
you are.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah.
I can't ask. Oh, I thought-
POA members' number one concern is their home's value,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want it to continue to, or they do want it to continue to increase. Sorry.
That's
My
okay.
bad. Do you believe that increasing dues helps increase or decrease members' property values, and why?
Okay. So there's two questions. Increasing dues, property values. So I think that goes back to, I don't think the dues increase changes the value, but again, the argument is that not raising the dues will then cause us into a reserve weakness. And I did some research, and I think we discussed this before. I don't know it's perfect, but I don't think it affects Canyon Lake. And frankly, what I've seen, and I'll plug my friend Kathy West, because she put out some stuff online, and we were at a meeting about it. The numbers are astronomically better. I mean, if I didn't love Canyon Lake, our house is our best investment by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
I love
I
Yeah.
have some really
Yeah.
bad investments, so luckily I have one good one.
That's good.
Yeah, someone said you should do that Bitcoin thing, and I said, "Oh, that'll
Same. I
that'll
think
never
we
last."
all kicked
That'll
ourselves through
never
that
last.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would definitely. Okay. Do I have the last question, or you have the last
You
one?
have the last one.
If
You're
elected,
up.
what are your top 3 priorities you plan to tackle in your first 100 days?
Okay. I don't think it's a specific item. I think it's these things: build trust, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
Be more proactive and focused on. I always say I remember one of the 7 Covey habits. My favorite one is begin with the end in mind. So be proactive and be focused on what you're trying to accomplish and how you do that properly without running over people, without basically thinking that this is the right idea because that's what the book says or that the law, whatever.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we need to fix the divide.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't define it exactly, which will actually fix the divide, but I think working together, coming back to where we are, I mean, this is a crazy place.
It's the
Have you ever
coolest
had
place
someone
on-
visit here the first time?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
And they come
all
from,
the
like-
time. Are you kidding me?
And they look
Yeah.
at you like,
Where
you know
am
what
I?
is
My husband.
this?
I have
My
family-
husband did
I have
it.
family
now
that
it's an
hasn't been
amazing
there.
place, but it's also,
Yeah.
it gets a little, it's got a lot of issues going on right now in particular. But nevertheless, I think we can come together. I think we have to remember that every person chose to move here.
Yeah.
Nobody forced anybody,
Yeah.
and in the end, we have to say, why did we move here? What do we gain and what do we love about here? I love about this neighbors, friends, family, beyond Facebook, by the way, real people.
Yeah.
And it's just a unique, one-of-a-kind place, and we need to bring that back.
Agreed.
Well, and it's got its own culture, And I
And
mean, if
so
you
much
move into-
history, it's
if
not
you-
even
Well,
funny.
if you move into somebody else's culture, you
Yep.
got to kind of adopt that. At least that's the way that I think about it. Some people think that no, they're just going to change it
You know,
to what they want. But
I'm gonna throw a
just
fourth
a
one in there
personal
because
thing. Go
I'm
ahead.
a lawyer and I can, right?
Sure.
The fourth one is I think we have a youth problem right now, and I won't talk about just today and yesterday and
Bring
this
the
month.
youth club back.
Well,
the
I don't know about-
teen center.
I wrote this last week. I wrote on the weekly question and answer about
Yeah.
this, and I had some ideas. But in some, I think that we read. You mentioned Team Center.
Yeah,
what a great
we had
idea.
one. We
That's
had
exactly
We
what
used
we
to have
had
one
one.
when
Yeah,
we were
we used to
kids.
have one.
I said in my statement
was
that we
cool.
need to find underutilized, or we can't spend another $1 million. So
Yeah.
but bottom line is we can
What's the
put that
staff?
together.
The staffing
We
was
might have a
expensive,
staff,
yeah.
or we might have volunteers like JJ.
Yeah,
and
I'd be
Heather.
there.
And we'll do some background checks before we let you guys do that.
I already have
But-
a teen. Isn't that enough
But,
of a background check
I'd
for
like
me?
to start. I'd like to start a like a kids financial
with
group
that.
to teach them teach them
Financial group,
finances.
I love it. I'm signing you up right now.
Done deal.
One
Oh,
idea,
great.
remember Sam, his resume? So Sam is
Yeah.
Yes.
the president of the Menifee Leadership Youth Leadership.
Very cool.
And he's in the Menifee Youth Leadership, not because we live in Menifee, although some people think we do if you look at our phone.
Yeah.
Our,
It's always been that way.
It's because of Santa Rosa and so forth.
Yeah.
But
It used to be
because
Sun City.
also they don't have a youth leadership here.
Yeah.
So we need to create that. And along those ideas, I have, it's easy. We're going to have, hopefully, and I hope my majority of board members agree with me, a advisory board member, youth member, which many school districts have as well.
Yeah.
So someone can sit with us, give us input, but also learn the process and go through the training, which I hear is quite extensive, and I'm looking forward to it. But I think that we need to involve our youth in positive ways. Too often, we have excuses for things that are happening rather than solutions for the problems that are happening.
I totally agree.
You know,
Agreed.
I totally agree.
knock on wood, every day. It's just we need to get our kids until even after the pandemic is over.
Yeah.
It was like this. There's been
kinda
problems
over.
before. It's little things to
lake.
big things, but I think we need to make our kids part of the solution.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, they're the next ones. But Brian Bock, you have been a fantastic guest.
We really appreciate you for
Really
coming
good
on.
answers on the questions.
Thank you.
You have anything else
Thank you,
for
sir.
us?
Really appreciate you.
You all good? We got
Yeah,
all the questions out?
Yeah, I got all my questions out. You know what,
deal.
Brian? I've seen your signs everywhere. I like your slogan a lot. I really do.
do.
I gotta
Be the change.
say, be the change.
you.
You guys, you can find us every single Friday live. And,
Hang out with us though.
yeah.
We're gonna switch candidates real quick. Maybe get a little word from one of our sponsors. We actually got
We got
some
a couple
cool
things in
sponsors
there,
here.
yeah.
If you're looking for solar, heating, air, UEC is the way to go. Underline Energy Corporation or Concepts rather. Just give us just a few minutes here. We're gonna switch candidates. We're gonna come right back with Brad Foland actually.
Yeah.
So give us just 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're back with Brad Foland, POA candidates. Number 2 of a 3-part series. Heather, my lovely partner and loan processor, had to leave because her son is actually playing a real physical football game. First time playing as a varsity player, right?
As a
playing.
sophomore.
As a sophomore, yeah, on the varsity team. They actually just changed the date and time of their football game, so she couldn't be here. So my lovely wife,
Hi, everybody.
Elizabeth Witten, is filling in for her. So she'll have 5 questions. I have 5 questions. Brad Foland, lovely Canyon Laker here, is going to be answering these questions. He's running for POA board. Very, very nice individual. Very interesting guy. Works in the medical field. And super excited to have him on the show. Super excited. Thanks for coming, Brad.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, and thanks for showing this platform for Canyon Lake. I think it's a really good thing that you guys are doing to get us out here and showing our basically our intent and what our visions are for being on the POA board and why we're running. I think it's great.
We're the only video media of Canyon Lake.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? That's crazy.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, it's like the biggest little city in California, kind of like Reno for Nevada. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's about time we had some video. Maybe even start a local news channel. You want to head that up, Liz?
No, thank you.
JJ
No,
Live.
Thank you. Liz has too many buyers she's working with.
I have a lot going on.
to
It's
you
fun
sellers and
though.
buyers.
It is fun.
So Liz heads up our real estate division for Carlisle Realty and Lending. That's why you don't see much of her on camera here. But she is the main girl behind the scenes, and we appreciate you. And we appreciate you stepping in
Of course.
and talking with me.
Of course.
Your voice sounds better on mic too.
Thanks.
Sounds really good. So let's jump right into it. We're a little bit over time with Brian Bock. We're just going to start out just 5 minutes, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and Canyon Lake and how you got here or whatever you want to tell us about yourself. 5 minutes or so.
5
You
minutes.
down with that?
If I
Five.
can make it 5 minutes.
Five,
exactly.
10.
That's
How far do you want me to go back?
exactly right.
He's married with kids, so let's give him 10.
Local Canyon Lake dad.
That's a whole other story. I got stories for days about the kids. No, so my family moved here in '87. I was 4 years old, so we've been here about 34 years. We are a family of 5. We moved from Los Angeles, Glendora, California, and growing up here was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
being a 4-year-old, like coming here for the first time, I mean, that I can remember. And we lived right across the street from the lake. We had an empty lot right across, and any chance we can get, we walked across the street, dropped the line in after school or preschool or whatever. It was the best experience growing up.
I miss those days.
Oh yeah, and so we lived here for quite a while. My family still does. My older brother ended up buying a property in here as well. So I got, on my side of the family, we have 3 properties within Canyon Lake.
Oh, cool.
I met my wife. She is from Canyon Lake. She went to another high school, but I've known her ever since she was a little kid. Her family still lives in Canyon Lake. And we got married in 2010, and we bought a property out in Menifee because at that time we couldn't afford. Starting out, we could not afford to be in here, so we had to do what we had to do, and went to Menifee. And as soon as we got lucky enough to be in the position to come back here, or anywhere else to upgrade our living situation, this was the only spot that we could.
The only spot.
The only spot.
Yeah.
If raising kids here, and our experience, my experience, my brother's experience, this is the only place I felt that it'd be safe and
Second
comfortable
to
as a
none,
parent.
really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we bought our house right across, or right around the corner from my mom. So my girls can literally walk to Nana's house and be safe.
Oh, that's rad.
Oh,
That's
That's
fantastic.
super rad.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's perfect for them. I've been married to my wife for 11 years. We've been together for about, I think she's going to kill me right now. A long time. But no, great. I have 2, like I just said, I have 2 daughters, 9 and 7 years old. And yeah, that's,
Gotta love those girls.
yeah.
Gotta love those girls.
We only have one.
Are they
I'm sorry, but
inefficient?
one is enough for me.
Yeah, well, luckily I cannot have any more children, and that's okay. So
Good for you.
everyone tries to say, "Hey, try for that third, try for that boy," and I'm like,
no.
I got 2 boys. You can borrow. They're one's older, one's younger. So
Come over anytime and grab them. Are they inefficient? They doing any fishing yet?
Yeah,
Or do you
yeah.
want to take them down there?
yeah, they want to go all the time.
Yeah.
They get over it pretty quick. I think it's
Yeah.
the girl thing.
If
So-
they're catching, and it's all good.
Oh, 100%.
If they're not catching, they're over it in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Same with my kids.
How it works is we go down and fish, and they will pull fish out like nobody's business, and I won't get a bite. I won't get a bite at all, and it drives me crazy. But the fact that they're getting this experience, it just makes it all worth
Good
it.
for them.
Oh yeah.
You caught all the fish when you were a kid. So.
Oh yeah.
I think we had better luck when we were kids because it was just less stressful. We weren't like, come on, let's catch something.
I want to say that you're the longest standing Canyon Lake resident that's running for POA board that I know. In fact, I mean, there's a bunch of people I grew up with still living in Canyon Lake, but like we moved here in '86. You were saying you moved here in
87.
'87. You were 4. I was 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So you're a super duper old timer.
pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
considering the 10 years we moved out,
Yeah.
but we bought back here in 2019, and the same things are happening now. Nothing's different. I mean,
No.
yes, there's things different regarding
Yeah.
this whole situation, but living wise, it's amazing.
It is. No, it is. And I actually dragged my wife back here. We left for a little while as well. My wife was in law enforcement out in the desert, and I was a firefighter out there. And then we came back. But there really isn't any better place to raise a kid as far as I'm concerned.
In the state of California.
In the state,
In
oh yeah.
California.
Come on,
for
in
sure.
the state of California.
Yeah, right. Well, that sounds great. We appreciate you taking your time.
Absolutely.
Running for POA board. We know that it's a thankless task. We know that
Yeah.
a bunch of people are waiting to jump down your throats if elected
Oh yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah.
So that's a super noble thing. So like, my heart goes out to you. I really appreciate that, and to all the candidates. You know, a selfless, thankless job that doesn't pay anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Well, no, that just shows your character and everybody, all the other candidates' character. So,
Yeah. It's definitely time to give back to the community.
especially in these times, right?
Yeah.
But I think it'd be nice, just, maybe a fresh outlook.
Yeah.
I think,
Right.
fresh outlook from people who have, not been in there and just seeing stuff going on, people who have kids who are out there, running around and having a good time. And I think a fresh outlook would be great.
Yeah.
My wife didn't even want me to like leave for the weekend to go fishing, but when all this POA board stuff came up, she's like, "Yeah, do it, run."
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's a great way for you guys to come out and just, be transparent with everybody and, for people to know that you're a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're a husband. The same
Normal-
thing with other candidates,
So normal
Renee
Canyon
being a
Laker is
wife.
concerned
Just normal
about
people.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I really do. A lot of the candidates are like that, but yeah, I specifically like that about you and the others too. But some of the others I don't get that feeling with. But what do you think? We got 10 questions. Every candidate knows all the questions before they came on the show. Have a little bit of time to prepare. Our whole goal is to make this a positive experience for everybody, and instead of trying to surprise the candidates with tough questions, we would rather them sit and sulk on them and really give us their best answers. So that's what we did. Let's jump right into it. What do you think?
Sounds
You want to
great.
go first? You want me to go first? Or do you want to ask us questions?
I'll let you go first.
Are you going
I'll
to go
go
in
first.
order? Are you going to go in order?
I can if you'd like.
Yeah. I mean, I can
What's the first one on
Deviate.
there? On your notes there?
overspending.
Perfect. I got the question right here.
Yes, you did.
So many POA members believe that POA has a problem with overspending on projects and certain proposed amenities. Do you believe the POA overspends or not? And why do you believe that?
100% yes. I believe they overspend.
All right.
Just to give a few options, and I think a hot button word will be used throughout this this interview.
Yeah.
Hot button. There's going to be hot button issues, hot button words, hot button projects.
I'm actually trying to stop saying hot button.
Hot and
but
super.
there's so much of them out there right now. I just keep saying that.
Well, you just need to start with super hot button.
Super hot button. There you go.
So the Sierra Park North, it's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yep.
I think a $1.5 to $2 million cost for this project is pretty high. Is there, Renee touched on it, and I know this is a philosophy of Tim Cook as well, and which is great, is we're all on kind of the same playing field when it comes to this.
Yeah.
What are other aspects? What are other projects going to look like if it's scaled down? Do we need to have everything in that project that they're proposing now? The pump track is the biggest issue, and everyone
Yeah.
refers to it as the pump track.
That's a main driver.
Right.
Yeah.
And that alone, I think, is going to be great for the
Yeah.
kids. I definitely want. I want to do it myself.
I want to go hit it.
100%. I don't think
totally be down.
Oh,
there.
I'm more excited than my
Yeah.
kids are. Get that mountain bike out there. There's probably going to be a rule against that.
I'm sure.
But I'll make sure there's not. The adults can have fun on it as well. But what are different projects going to look like on different cost?
Yeah.
Different cost platforms. And the large dog park, it's the same thing.
100 G's for a dog park.
There's
I
a
think
lot.
that's absolutely crazy.
There's a lot to it on that plan as well. I mean,
look-
what is it going to look like if we just did, shade structures and some benches and
Yeah.
a few trees? But there's a lot of curbing involved, a lot of DG, the concrete alone. So like I'd said on the Sierra Park North is let's get some more options out to Canyon Lake.
Yeah.
And let them vote on it, you know.
I like that idea.
But also another aspect I want to look into on kind of over if I get on the board is I never hear about volunteers.
Yeah.
So on projects, we
Yeah.
have a community full of people from all over
Who want to
different
be involved.
backgrounds, different experiences that do want to do something for the community. Let's get some volunteers. What can we do with them, insurance related wise, that we can let them do?
Sure.
And get them involved. And how much is that going to cut on costs on labor? So that's another aspect that I would like to touch on. Is that
More of that
There's-
volunteer component. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many business owners in this community. There's got to be, guys who own tractors or whatever, just ways of cutting down costs, because that cutting maybe that in half or even, quarter of the way, taking that, put that towards something else that'll benefit the community
Oh yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
I just think
you might run into, like, if you took volunteers for labor, you might run into some legal risk.
Right.
But
there is clauses under our insurance policy that covers that.
Is there?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
So, and just you touched on it too, the business owners. I mean, that would be a great thing for construction crews or construction owners. Come in, donate their time, donate their abilities, and it could be a potential advertising thing for them in the future.
And that's the thing. Like, how are we going to directly give back to those business owners who gave back to the community?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we need to put them at the forefront.
And
if that were to happen,
Yeah.
like, hey, you donate your time, you should get, special consideration from the members of the board,
But we're not talking like sweetheart deals where we're paying them,
Yeah.
a certain amount to do these
No.
projects for us. It's a strictly, volunteer time and part of it. But
Yeah.
I just like to look into other avenues to
Exhaust all
cut
possibilities.
costs. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say this throughout the interview. I'm going long on your minutes. I'm sorry, but
Oh, you're good.
Oh, no, go ahead.
we all deal with this in our families and our homes. You don't live beyond your means, and that's
Yeah.
period. And that comes with businesses, that comes with corporations, that comes with nonprofit corporations such as the POA, and your own personal family home and your finances. So we have to look at all that, all the spending that we're doing, and we just can't do that. We can't live beyond our means.
thrifty point of view of exhausting all options and really looking into
Yeah,
the
but
bottom dollar.
I don't want to do it, not to the extent where it's a detriment to POA.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm not saying let's cut everything and have Bluebird
Yeah.
Hall fall down to the ground. In like
Everybody
5 years.
grab your shovels. We ain't getting shit unless you're coming out here digging. No. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Totally with you on that. Sounds like you want to have like a cautious spending.
Yeah.
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 cautious
And
spending
I know
in a good
people
way.
are hanging on my belief on the Sierra Park North thing, and I want it to get done. I think we just need to look at this more responsible way.
Yeah.
And if it does pan to 2 or 3 years, well, see, that's another thing is this measure that's coming out. So we have this measure coming out so we can spend up to $2 million on a project within a 2-year period. So what's that going to do in the future?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking. Like $2 million.
So now we're grandfathered in if this
What's our
passes.
$290 a month go to after that?
Right.
Like, we have to dip in the reserve fund to do that? Like,
I don't know,
that's
seeing
kind of crazy.
seeing things around the lake that
know.
I'm like, why would you put that? Why would you spend money on that? Like, I'm just going to bring this up, for example, leaving the gates, those billboards. I'm sorry, but why are those there?
The
I feel like,
electronic billboards.
yeah, I feel like
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a
Oh my
waste. And
gosh.
I'm over on what's POA, what's city. I'm still
think-
very green on that. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, and I come.
I'd
kind of
imagine
from,
what those would cost. And
Exactly.
not only initially, but what they cost ongoing, because you have to have those LEDs changed out. You have a couple burned out in the middle. There's
But
some
say
maintenance
you go
costs to
through
it.
there and somebody wants to look, and I catch myself doing it, and I'm like, I need to look at, keep
probably
my
spend-
eyes on the
You
road,
probably
right?
spend less money on Instagram or Facebook advertising from a POA board perspective
Yeah.
for those concerts or whatever's on those boards when you exit the gate,
Yeah.
and probably spend less.
I see about the
But-
same thing every single time I go out the gate. And I just,
Yeah.
I think I feel like it's kind of frivolous spending. And I guess maybe that's just, I'm not obviously seeing it all from all point of views, but
Yeah.
things like that, you know what I mean?
Well, the other thing they're trying to advertise, they're trying to limit the liabilities for the POA, the dues paying members, right? They're trying to get people to go to the country club. They're trying to get people to go to the lighthouse. They're trying to get people to engage in the concerts. You know, that all directly goes back to the POA. And just like I was saying earlier with Brian Bock, all you complaining members out there, right? This is going to be an unpopular statement, but I'm telling you right now, if you got a problem with the lighthouse running under, bleeding money, or you have a problem with the golf course bleeding money or the country club or whatever, like, stop fucking going to the main gate and going to whatever restaurant when you can go to the lighthouse or the country club, have a fantastic meal, have cocktails, whatever you want, and you're supporting the POA, you know. And I'm not saying, you know, boycott the main gate restaurants. I love all the main gate restaurants, right? But instead of going to one particular one every single, you know, like 3 times a week or 4 times a week, go eat at the lighthouse once, you know, just try and support. Everybody flies the local business flag. Well, your local business is the POA. Like, go fly that flag a little bit. That's all I'm saying. You good with that question?
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're
I think
good then?
going in order you have them.
Yeah, I mean, we can
First.
keep going on
Oh,
that
do we?
forever on that question, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
right.
So yes, I do believe they overspend.
Okay, good. Are you in favor of increasing or decreasing POA dues? And how do you support your position on how or why dues should increase or decrease?
So I'm not in favor of increasing POA dues.
All right.
I think that's a common thread through the community.
I love the clear answers right off the bat. by the way.
Well, do you see them? They're all red, and I
Yeah.
made a note of that. And
Oh, yeah.
You were very clear on your first interview with Renee that
Yeah.
you know the members want yes or no. So I made sure.
That's what they told me. I'm just the messenger.
I have
here.
to say, with as prepared as you came, it was very impressive.
I might not sound prepared through this, but
No, it's, you guys don't see it,
Yeah.
but it's like lined out. He's got different colors, you know, reds, blacks, things are important. So that's great
very
to
prepared.
see how prepared you are.
that's if I can get to it. We probably will go off on things, and I won't be able to get to the stuff I
Well,
lined
yeah,
out.
that's par for the course.
So no, I'm not in favor of increasing. You know, inevitably, as a community, we're going to have to eventually increase dues, and
Yeah.
you know, the cost of living is eventually going to go up. Period. There's other things that we deal with in the association. Just as one example, the lake lease that is already contracted out to be raised on a yearly basis for the next, I think it was like 35 years or so.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 20, but
It's
you
a
can
long-term
correct
deal.
me on Facebook, guys. It's
Yeah.
I'll take it all day long. Please correct me. I want your input. This is why I'm running. But so it's an inevitable thing. We're gonna have to increase it, but
Yeah.
we need to.
It's inflation.
Yeah, but we need to do it responsibly when we absolutely have to. But right now, we just went through a year's period where we had 2 raise increases. And the first one was right when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I think that was completely irresponsible. We did not know where this pandemic was going to go. And we have a very diverse community.
Yeah.
We don't just have the lakefront property owners as the sole people in Canyon Lake. We
Yeah.
have everyone from, you know, $400,000 homes all the way to multi-million-dollar homes.
And that's really the median price point, is that lower price point, you know, 400 to 500.
Right.
So-
So that's the bulk of the community. And, you know, that was at such an uncertain time. People were forced at home. You know, they were forced not to come to work. And a lot of people didn't have the means. I can't say a lot of people, but, you know, in some circumstances
Some did,
that,
yeah.
you know, that,
Well, that should be a concern.
that increase will affect you. You know, that's a trip to the grocery store that you got to.
40, $50. Yeah. I mean,
Well, we also have some of the, you know, the old time residents that have been in here that now, you know,
Yeah,
they're not
fixed
working
incomes,
anymore. They're on a
100%.
fixed income.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's, maybe that's going by the wayside and they're not really paying attention to that. I think
and they're
that's super important.
And they're not really using a lot of the amenities you know, which I understand. Like if you're in here, you gotta pay for them, period. But
Well, I know.
that's one of the main reasons why my mom moved out a couple years back was she just wasn't using the amenities, and that POA dues kept increasing. And it's like $300 on a fixed income, and you know she doesn't even go to the pool.
Right.
She didn't even go to the lighthouse. You know what I mean? Like she's out.
Yeah. So I mean that affects, you know, the fixed income people even more, you know, and they only have so much to go off of.
Yeah.
If you're a single, you know, husband or a single man or single, like my mom is by herself in her house, and eventually it's going to affect her. Right now she's okay, but you know, there's other people in the lake. Well, that $30 increase really affected them.
Yeah.
So you know, we need to do it responsibly. You know, the outside services, construction costs are inevitably going to go up if we use outside people. But again, I think it's assessment raises directly affect each family. It needs to go to a member vote, period. We have an election every year.
Yeah.
Why don't we use that $100,000 cost that it costs us to do an election for the vote counters and use it to a member vote
To pull it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
And
idea.
I'm not in favor. I want to make sure that we don't ever have to raise this. If we can not raise another assessment fee for 30 years, more power to us.
Yeah.
But
Fortunately, it's just not going to happen.
No.
I mean, but
I'm not the guy that's going to want to raise our
hey, let's
dues
build
every
this,
year.
build that, build this. We'll just raise the dues and pay for it.
Right.
That's not you.
All right. No.
All right.
No. 100%. We need to do our best to stay within our means. And
Yeah. Especially in trying times, like we're at the height of a market. It smells like '09 again. We have lawyers saying that they have stacks and stacks and stacks of evictions sitting on their desk for COVID overlays to come off. You know, interest rates are rising like crazy right now. You know, we're looking at possibly looking at another recession, at least in my opinion. So I definitely agree with that stance of like buckling down and trying to keep it super trimmed. Like trim all the fat, you know. Trim the fat.
Well, it's also going to cause a lot of problems with
some
people
fat
trying
to
to come
trim,
into
too.
the lake too. You know, anybody who wants to
New
come
buyers.
and purchase,
Yeah, new buyers,
and come
man.
into the lake.
That's the deal.
When we bought in 2019, the assessments were I believe it was 250. Was it 256, 259?
Yeah, 256, 259.
It was like that for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know exactly how long ago that was changed or that was assessed, but quite honestly, if I would have saw a $280 assessment fee when we were buying this house, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it might have changed things.
it might have, but you know so $300, yes. And the problem is yes, the argument on the other side, we have so many amenities compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
We have a lot of members. We have a lot of paying members. That's the difference.
When I see a lot of members saying, well, why don't we just cut some of the shit that I don't use right now, like the golf course? And it's like, bro, even though I don't golf all the time,
That's
like,
Canyon Lake.
go
That's
drive
Canyon
through Sun
Lake,
City
though.
and
Yeah.
look at the shitty abandoned fucking golf course down
In
there.
Sun Lake or
it's like
Sun
dog
City.
shit. How do you go back in there and change that to something else that generates
you
taxes
can't.
or fees?
You can't.
You can't. It's not part of the master plan. It's like,
Well, I think the other thing is too, our golf course is open to the public, which
It
I
is
think
now.
it is now, which is another great source of revenue. Yes, there's, taking care of the greens and all the
it's
maintenance,
upside down, but that really helped. It really did.
but I think
And
taking away things is not the answer.
could you imagine owning a home on over off Canyon Lake Drive by Hank's house? Like
And
living
not
backed
having
up
the
to
golf course.
and it just turned to dog shit overnight. And it was all brown and fucked up and just looked horrible. Could you imagine that?
I would be very
You want to talk
upset.
about decreasing your property
Property values,
values? Like,
absolutely.
Get out of here, dude. I know it runs at a huge loss, but I think I'm always, you can't cut costs to increase your revenue or net worth, right? You have to look at the other end. You have to increase your income. There's no way that you could just cut costs to prosperity. It just never has happened. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? We got to figure out, and I think that's why they made it public. Was it 1 or 2 years ago? Maybe even 3 years ago they made it public now. I wonder if they could buy a membership like the dues-paying members can, but
A public membership? I believe you can.
can you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's at a different price point.
Well, I think our price points are pretty good for a round of golf. But anyways, on to the next question. I don't want to beat this up.
Yeah, we were
but
getting ahead of us. That's
sorry
one of the
about
questions.
that. Yeah.
I want to save my little bit of good that I got for those.
My bad. My bad. Sorry, I talked too much.
I second that he does talk too much. I'm just kidding.
All right. I got the next one, right?
Yes.
Is this on the flags? Is your next question on the
Emergency board meeting?
flags? Emergency?
Oh, yeah, it's all encompassing with the flags. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll stick with this then. How do you plan to settle the flag dispute without violating the First Amendment and bring the community together on this issue? And do you agree or disagree on the emergency rule banning the flags?
So this is another hot button issue of the lake right
Yes,
now.
it
I
is.
think it's the hot button issue of the lake, and it's a very emotional subject for a lot of people. And quite frankly, out of all the years that I've lived here, I could have never imagined that this would be an issue with inside the lake.
Yeah.
We've all been a pretty close-knit community, and getting along with our neighbors is part of the greatness of Canyon Lake. We might not all agree on everything, but when we all go outside, we all go do the same things and hang out on the boats together,
Yeah.
go golfing together, and we all get along.
Yeah.
It falls in line with this. As far as the emergency board meeting, absolutely not. I do not agree with that. I think that was an overreach of whoever decided to run that meeting, and I don't know who did it. Emergency meeting can be brought up by the president, and if it's not brought up by the president, it has to be brought up by 2 other POA board members. That's not the president. So
All right.
we don't know who brought that up. And quite frankly, under the Davis-Sterling Act, an emergency board meeting is defined as circumstances that cannot have been reasonably foreseen. So like a natural disaster,
Yeah.
something that's going to,
Earthquake,
100
floods.
Yeah.
The
So-
dam breaks.
So, I mean, we all foreseen this kind of coming weeks prior to that meeting, obviously, or months prior to that meeting.
Yeah.
So the ruling, I believe, it's the political signage. I get that part of it. It should
Yeah.
be completely separate from the flags. The POA board,
Totally.
I 100%
Totally.
believe
Yeah.
that they shouldn't have touched this issue. I think by them bringing this emergency meeting up, it fueled the fire of the community.
Yeah.
Because now we have both sides fighting against each other, and that's not what we want here in Canyon
Yeah,
Lake,
we've
period.
created division over it.
Yeah. So, and we can all agree on, the word has been out there, and I think it's funny that the POA board has put this in their revised ruling. The dirty words, I think it should be profanity or something a little bit. I might not be the most
Yeah.
professional person, but I don't think we should have dirty words in our bylaws. I think it should be profanity.
Yeah.
But we can all agree on that. We don't need flags outside of our house, at our neighbor's house, that says F this or,
Yeah.
the B word. And, we have a lot of family here,
Yeah.
kids here. And there's an argument where people are saying, hey, teach your kids right and you don't have to worry about it. But the overabundance of them going out and seeing this makes
Yeah.
them believe that, okay, well, maybe this is a right thing. Maybe we can start saying these words. We're seeing it everywhere in the lake.
Yeah.
Thinking of it as an acceptable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that's where I'm kind of caught. Like, I don't know. I mean, I love to express myself to the highest grandeur possible. Like, and that usually encompasses dirty words. And it's not that like I want to spew those all over town or taint children with bad language or anything like that. But I understand it. I understand the emotion behind it. But I also understand the emotion on the other side too.
Well, and I'm not talking down to the people that have those flags out there. They're expressing their right to opinion, their First
Yeah.
Amendment right to freedom of speech.
That's a real fucking problem right there.
So if we
How do you
get into
past
this,
the First Amendment. I mean, I know POAs, they can write whatever rules they want. But if you violate the Constitution, right, you may be able to legally do it. But for a person like me who's a patriot, who's a Canyon Laker, like if you run over one of my rights as a U.S. citizen, I find that to like just be the worst thing.
I feel like it pushes you to be like, and pushes more of that. More, I feel like more pushback there was, the
Resistance.
more of those
Yeah.
flags that showed up. I get it.
Exactly.
I get
Exactly.
it. So you continue. It's just like your kids. You push and push, and there's a point when they start to go away. You know what I mean? And start to rebel against you. And it's a common ground. It's, hey, listen, your beliefs are going to maybe be different than mine, but I respect you. And it's not just the flags or the profanity. I feel like it's the flags towards anybody.
It's the respect thing.
It's all about
what
respect,
it
but I
is.
feel like we're losing a lot of that. And with COVID, and
We don't want to look tacky, We don't
I
wanna
get
look
that, but
tacky,
it's not just those flags with the profanity. They're attacking all the flags. The flags with the red
Yeah, that's a
stripe.
that's a
They're
real
the police
problem.
flags coming from somebody who we both fire service. I was a police officer before, and I have to tell you, if you cut me right now, I'll bleed blue. Like I love those guys and gals that I worked with. They meant everything to me. But for people to say, we can't have those kind of
They're still
flags too.
family.
Yeah, they're still family to this day.
Those people should be praised. My brother's a fire captain, my wife's a nurse, and they've had to work through this whole COVID thing, 100% in people's faces with COVID, and we're showing our pride for these people, our respect, and thank you.
They're modern day soldiers.
Right,
on the front
100%.
lines. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. So, the First Amendment thing, I think, just like you said, if the POA board didn't touch the flag issue, it wouldn't have been such a big deal it is today.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
it's
Them
out
bringing
of
it
their
up,
wheelhouse.
it was a big deal. So let's stick with the verbiage for political candidate signs and local political signs.
Sure.
I mean, I'm getting tired of seeing my own political yard signs in front of on Happy Hunter, because I got Happy Hunter locked down, and I come home and it's like, oh, there's my name everywhere. I mean,
there we
eventually
go.
they do get old. But as far as the flags go, we need to leave them alone, and not have these little work groups to try to figure it out. We need to figure this out as a community, as a whole. We can't have a small faction that claim they're working on both sides and they both came to an agreement. We need to have a bigger number of people come to the same agreement, and that's the whole community.
Yep.
So it's definitely a hard issue to deal with, but
That's a hard question to answer too.
the number one thing is, if we touch the First Amendment and try to mess with it on the POA board, it opens
tough.
up lawsuits.
Yes,
And
it does.
who pays for those lawsuits?
We do.
In Canyon Lake.
And I would bet that we could be in a POA surplus if we just stopped engaging in legal risk.
And I wonder what our retainer fees would be like if we didn't have so many lawsuits a year.
Yeah.
Because we're doing $35,000 to $40,000 a month in retainer fees.
Are you serious?
Oh
my
correct me
goodness.
if I'm wrong, in the budget researchers, but I was looking through it the other day, and I'm 100% sure that it's the
It's
35.
big bucks. Big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised. I totally believe that number, honestly. But we could fact check that as well.
Yeah,
like
I
you
would.
said.
Yeah, please, because the budget. Looking through that budget, the other night I was going dizzy. I was getting a headache by the end of it. And I'm like, oh, this is getting a little
I
ridiculous.
actually pulled it up too. I was, because
Did
you can pull it up and look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
I started to pull it up and I was like, all the numbers, I was like, they were starting to all go together, and just looking at different things. And I think
Damn,
retainer
girl, you
fees.
smart.
I'm not that smart.
you
I
go.
just, with my past, I like to know all the ins and outs. He always says I ask way too
She's-
many questions. I like to know,
She's
give me
an
give me
investigator.
everything. I want to know why, when, where, who, how can, in a way of, things that affect my family or my business. You know what I mean? Things like that.
All right, on to the next question here. We're running along really, really quick here. The North Ski area. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Oh, geez.
This is North Ski Area is a common interest area open to all dues-paying POA members. Yet the Water Ski Club has received a ruling from the board to only allow water skiers to use the front portion of that area, even if the ski club is not using it. Would you have voted in favor of this? Yes or no?
No. 100% no. Once again, I'll probably be making a few people upset.
I
What?
like your firm stance.
Yeah, I think you touched it right. Well, whoever wrote that question, all dues paying members. Now, granted, the ski club or skiers get first right to the slalom course in the bylaws.
Always have.
Always have. It's been an unwritten rule. Everyone
That's
going.
what it's for.
Yeah,
You know?
that's what it was made for. We're at a time now, we have a new sport coming down, new water sport for the lake, and we designated them to be using the North Ski area because of the ballast and all that stuff, which is great, the problem is to be able to limit them to the backwater while no skier is in the slalom course, I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
100%. If you look down the slalom course right now and see how much room is between the buoys and the land per se.
Yeah.
I just lost my word there.
The width of the whole river.
Yeah.
there.
So there's plenty of room for a wake surfing boat to go in there without hitting buoys. There's plenty of room. And it's not a wakeboarding boat where they're going in excess, 17, 18 miles an hour.
Yeah.
They have full control of that boat. They're going at a speed where they know what they're doing.
They're going slower than the slalom guys
Yes.
by half.
So I think as far as that, no skiers on the lake or on the slalom course that take up first priority, that means wake surfers can do it. I'm fully on board with that. So my issue with this revised ruling is that they had the 56 members for this task force to convene and talk it over, as 56 members sent comments into the board.
Yeah.
And they deemed that it wasn't necessary to have this task force. Well, why?
Who are they to say?
Yeah, who are they to say? We had 56 members wanting to volunteer their free time to tell us what they think we should be doing with the slalom course. And so we're just going to push them off to the side and we have enough. We're just going to make the decision.
It sounds a little like overreach to me.
Well, I think the overreach on that one, to me, if I'm reading it in black and white, is telling me that if nobody's there, that's still their right. I don't agree on that.
Well, and that's what I'm getting from the members.
So I'm seeing, so I get where the ski club's coming from as far as the damage. And they have to go out and fix buoys, and they believe it's the wake surfers and the wakeboarders causing the damage. Well, I want definitive proof, and I'm pretty dang sure that anybody that's going to run over a buoy is going to at least try to get in contact with someone that they can fix themselves or pay for it.
And trust me, those wakeboard boats do not want to run over buoys and get that stuff tied up. The only people who run over those buoys are the slalom dudes, like super tight fit, 8 foot width. Boat's 8 foot.
Well, and they're cruising through it. So I can't say either or who's actually doing it 100%, but I think it was the problem with this whole thing is the perception of conflict of interest when the evidence was brought to the board. So, under the rules of an HOA, you can't have a perception of a conflict of interest when making a rule revision. And I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but with the evidence that was brought forward by a certain board member, well, we don't have the proof. Where's the proof that those buoys were done within the last 2 years of wake surfing, or those buoys could have been sitting in your garage for 6 years? So we don't know that, but we would like to know the definitive proof. So,
and really, how much is a damn buoy? Like,
Right.
Is it really that big of a deal?
well, I know it's a big
buoy
deal.
and a tether line?
Fixing them, I know it's a big deal, and it's a hassle. So I think have the wake surfers create a group,
Yeah.
create a club.
Maybe they could take over the jump lagoon because nobody uses that anymore. Not
I saw
they
one the
did
other
when
day.
I was a kid. Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is that a common? I don't know if that's common area interest, but how do I access that? How do I go put
You have to
my
be
boot?
part of the...
You have to be part of the club, and you have to go. You have to have a key to the gate to launch your boat back there.
Yeah, I know that. I
So
know
back
it's
in the day,
locked
the
up.
wakeboard club used to do I'm hitting things
Oh,
all
you're
over the
good.
place. They used to do a few tournaments back there.
Yeah, I used to do wakeboard tournaments back there
In
when
the-
I was like 16, 17.
Yeah. So I did
know?
a tournament in the jump lagoon once, and it
Yeah.
obviously was so short. You couldn't
Yeah,
do much in
I know.
that thing. But
As soon as you made the turn, you throw one really, one back roll, and you're done. Yeah.
that was my first experience on a boat that can throw a massive wake, and I'm like, what am I doing here? This
shit
is
was
crazy.
yeah.
I learned off a little Malibu Sunsetter, and now I'm going off a wake setter right now. I'm
right
gonna
there with
die.
it. I was the same guy. Same guy.
So I would like to see a club formed for the wake surfers, so they at least have a leg to
Where are
stand
we going
on.
to put them? Ski club seems to have a monopoly, but
And I want
And
them
I
to,
like the ski club, and I'm not against the ski club.
No,
but
neither am I.
I think the ski club also needs to be a wakeboard and a wake surf club. It needs to be a special interest water sports club.
Or even if
and they have those areas to do that in, because like everything was born and bred here when it comes to wakeboarding, and wake surfing, like.
champions came from Canyon Lake.
Yeah.
So
like
now
I grew up with them.
Yeah.
Like I'm still friends with them on Facebook. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, Melissa Marquette, I went to school
That's-
with her. I was
that's-
friends with her.
Exactly.
We have
Both
great-
of her brothers were competition skiers as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to adapt to the new sports coming. So we adapted on letting them go back there. We need to let them have full use, but with the priority still to be, for the ski clubs or skiers,
Sure. Yeah. No one's ever had a problem with that.
No.
It's a huge slalom course. Sure. If you guys are slalom, we're going to wait for you to be done. We're going to go to the backwater past the buoy.
Yeah.
And we're going to go do our thing.
Well, if you're a wakeboarder in the back and you have a wake surfer in the mix in the rotation, you're kind of, I'm envisioning some people
That's
getting a
called
little
double
irritated.
ups.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I would like to see a club formed for wake surfers and have them all get together and have them hash it
that
out
out,
themselves. I don't think this should have been a POA board issue as far as the extent that it's gotten. I think more posted rules out there in the backwater and the front water stating what can and can't be done should be there anyways, period. Because a lot of people might just get a wakeboard boat right off the bat and hear about the North Lake and how nice it is, and they go out there and have no clue what's happening. Because there's still people in the lake that have no clue about the bylaws or anything happening in the lake. So, if none of that works, this is a little side thing. Let's contact Dana White and get a little floating UFC octagon out in the water. We'll put the ski club in. No, just kidding.
No,
But,
no, have them fight on the jump. Ski jump.
on the
That'd
jump.
be fun. We used to swim out there when we were kids and slide down it. We bring soap and stuff and go
Oh, yeah.
slide down it. Get fiberglass thrown in your back.
Oh, I know.
I will tell you this: the best crappie fishing in Canyon Lake is underneath the ski jump.
Really?
Yeah, drop it straight down.
They're just
20
all
feet,
hanging out there.
done. Yeah. At any rate, move on to the next question here. Let's see here. Do you have home values next?
Yeah.
Just staying on track with you here.
Well, I can jump around too if you need
Okay,
to, but
cool.
it's up to you.
So POA members' number one concern is their home value, and they want it to continue to increase. Do you believe that increasing dues helps increase or decrease members' property value, and why?
So I don't believe increasing dues increases our property values. I think if anything, it could potentially hurt our values. Looking at it as a common sense thing, if you're looking to buy a house in here and the assessments are at $290 and it's a lot cheaper than compared to other communities around here, it's super cheap.
Yeah.
And we touched on it before. We have a lot more members, and that's why it is super cheap. I think Canyon Lake has always been a higher bracket than every other community.
Yeah.
It's always been like
We've
that.
always been kind
period.
of the Beverly Hills of the area.
100%. We
lack
were
of a
sought
better term.
after
Yeah.
a community within Southern California. I mean, granted, there's Orange County and all that stuff,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
and we've always had low assessment fees or dues. And I don't think you coming from a real estate background, my mom coming from Coldwell Banker Associated Brokers,
Yeah.
it has not affected our home values whatsoever as far as decreasing them.
Yeah.
If anything, we've always been high. Even during the bubble, we didn't dip that. I mean, we did dip that much, but not that much compared to other communities.
Yeah. There wasn't a foreclosure every other home like it was outside of the gate.
So history has proven that statement. I don't think I'm wrong in that, and you can correct me. You know more about that than I do.
I
but
agree. I absolutely agree, coming from a loan officer standpoint, and I'll touch on that after all the interviews are done. But yeah, increasing POA dues does one thing: it puts money in the POA's pocket, and it takes away from your home values. Period. The end.
Yeah. And we're not a Orange County neighborhood. We're not a San Francisco, Northern California neighborhood that can sustain a higher,
Yeah.
assessment dues.
Yeah.
And sustain higher home values.
Could you
period.
imagine $500 a month in Canyon Lake? and then you had a condo that was another $500, like $1,000.
I was just going to bring up condos because that's something that is affecting one of my buyers, strongly affecting her, and it's.
I want to save that for after all the interviews are done,
like,
because
dang
I
it.
really have a juicy piece on that whole question and all that that some people may not realize, and I just want to bring some clarity to it. But I'm going to wait.
It's
until
really
after
hard to
next
wait,
week.
though. I have so much that I'm like,
So
ooh, there's so many different avenues to that question.
We're gonna get
that
down
you
the
can
road
go.
and forget about it, though.
Yeah, right. Next week we have the last two POA board candidates. We have Chris Poland and Tim Cook coming on the show, and then after that, the following week we're going to do a whole follow-up piece. We're going to go back through all the candidates, what their answers were, and we're going to have Brad Morton, who's in charge. He's
newbies?
Yeah, the Canyon Lake Newbies and Social Club guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be on the show, interjecting as well as what he thinks about all the interviews, and we're definitely going to touch on that. So let's leave it alone for now. I know it's hard.
Okay.
But let's see. Did I get? Yeah.
I think
I'm
you did the
done.
last one, so it's my
it's
turn
all
now.
you, girl.
All right. So here is the question. It says many POA members believe they should have a vote or say in decisions made by the board. Do you agree? And if so, how will you implement a system that will allow members to be involved in decision making regarding rules and spending?
So yes, I do agree on members having a say in decisions. I think that's part of the uproar that the community is seeing now is they feel their voice is not being heard.
Yeah.
As far as urgent decisions that really would not affect our members and their way of life, and that's a lot of stuff on a day-to-day thing, I'm sure, for the board.
Yeah.
But anything big, like I touched on before, we have an election every year. So when it comes to rule revisions, we need a collective response from the community. And I would like to see, there's kind of one of the things, if we can get around this lawfully, if it's accepted, like a survey system when it comes to, say, a rule revision, we send out a survey system or a survey, and it'll show the rule and it'll show the rule revision. And then under the rule revision, it'll have empty tabs. So the member can fill in what they think they would like to see in that rule revision. And I think you'll touch on this in one of the other questions about the Rules and Regulations Committee. If we bring that back in, they could help deviate and facilitate the organization of, the collective response from the community. We all pay dues here, and we all kind of want to be heard.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this. I want to stand up for everyone, the average homeowner that comes home from work and has their family and kids, makes dinner, and uses the lake on the weekend because it's a vacation community. We don't have to go anywhere. And a lot of people in the lake want to come home and not have to worry about what's happening now with the POA board and their decisions. I think they're a little bit overreaching. And quite frankly, it's disturbing because one of the last, this was like 2 meetings ago, it was blatantly clear that they said the board makes the decisions and that's it, and that's final, and not the members. And truthfully, yeah, by law, the board makes the decisions.
Sure, but they're
on behalf of its community members, the due paying members. They make them on behalf of that. So I think they're forgetting the fact of who put them in their spot.
Absolutely.
And
They're
we did.
voted there.
We want them to do what's right for the community. And clearly we have a good base of candidates running, and they all have the same vision.
I have to agree with that. We do.
And it's an exciting thing to see right now.
Do you know how many people ran last election?
2?
1.
Oh, yeah.
From what I heard, 1. And we have 6. Yeah, 6.
I heard there was a lot more. I heard there was a
6.
lot more that took out through the grapevine. I heard there was a lot more, but we got 6, and that's still a lot.
Yeah. Well, there was a whole bunch of other people who kind of threw their hat in the ring, but didn't follow through. I was one of them, just because I'm just sick and tired of seeing what the overreach and stuff. Like I'm a fan of less government or less like control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a fan for rules and laws.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't need anybody to tell me what I'm gonna do on like a micro basis, like what flag I'm gonna fly, or like, you know, this is and that's, and you know, like, get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna come at me like that. Get out of here.
Well, you know, and on that, as far as, you know, have a say in the decisions, I think the members should have a voice in, you know, what do they get to have a voice in, as far as what do they want to be concerned about. You know, like if we're spending $60,000 on a certain project, maybe a lot of the community doesn't care about making a decision on that.
You know, what I proposed was if the POA is going to make a decision, financial decision, that is going to change POA dues, that it should go to a public vote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it were to increase dues, but
I'm still pretty green to the POA. How many members are on the POA board?
5.
There's 5.
Does that include the president of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 3 votes, we'll make a decision.
Yeah.
See, and that's another thing that I'm glad you brought that up. I've talked to 3 sets of homeowners in Canyon Lake. They had no clue an election was coming up. They had no clue how many people were on the board.
Whole bunch of that.
They had no clue about the flag issue, the North Ski area. So we'll touch on this on another question, but it's amazing to me. There's obviously a big faction in the community that either doesn't know what's going on or really knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And we need to bridge that gap a little bit. I think that's one of my main points of running, is making sure everyone knows what's going on.
That's actually one of my motivations for doing this show, is to help bridge that gap too.
Well, I think it's great.
We're picking up people that I never thought we were going to pick up. I was just at Tim Cook's little gathering that he had, and there were some people there that were like, "Oh, you're JJ, the lone wolf guy. Like, hey, I saw you on TV."
So you were the reason why I couldn't sleep that night. Thanks, dude.
No, I was just on Facebook.
It's okay.
That's
They
all.
looked at him and like, but you're not the girl. Now at least I can be on and be like, I do exist. I really do. I'm right
know.
here.
She's here. Yeah. Heather's my partner. Liz is my wife. Now you know.
She
that,
runs
though.
the show behind the
Yes,
scenes.
she does. She runs more than just the show. She's a stud.
No, but as of next Monday, I don't have to be a teacher anymore. Well,
Yeah.
A little bit.
And
Yeah.
she's a ball buster of a
I
realtor
hear you
as
there.
well. She just breaks people's chops. I'm proud of you.
yeah, thanks.
What's your next question?
All right. So the next question I have is, do you believe you have the ability to represent the entire community with neutrality and not based on your personal opinions, or pander with specific groups, clubs, friends?
Yeah. Yes. You know, I'm running on behalf of the community. That's my main reason why I'm doing this. I'm not involved in any committees, any groups within the lake. I don't have any special interests. I use all the amenities. I've golfed. I've skied. Learned how to ski, wakeboard. I still have a pontoon boat that we use during the summer on the weekends. The only thing I haven't done in the lake is pickleball. So have you played it yet?
Huge following over that. No, I haven't.
I'm kind of interested. So if anybody
Yeah.
out there wants to invite me down and school me in some
One of
pickleball.
my childhood moms, Marha Lee, she's always posting about it.
She is.
She's always posting about it, and I've been wanting to go down there and check it out.
So it looks like there's a big group down there. It looks like they have a lot of fun.
Huge group.
Yeah.
Huge group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They just added a bunch of those courts down there, and I thought,
they're
why
nice.
are you adding all these courts? And then,
They're
dude, they're packed
getting used.
all
Yeah.
the time.
The tennis club's down there too. We have a huge tennis club too.
Yeah.
I think they're one and the same kind of. I
Are
think
they?
they play pickleball and tennis.
They go back and forth?
Yeah.
That's a club I would love to be part of. That's
Go
fun.
for it.
I used to play tennis when I was younger.
We get you
It was
hooked
fun.
up.
Do like a little social tennis club, pickleball club.
That'd be fun.
So I'm not, tied to any group. I'm not going to be making decisions solely for my friends and family. I do have a big family that lives in the lake, 4 or 5 properties of family members here and there. But my main reason is I want to do things on behalf of you guys. I don't want to make any decision. If I'm on the board or get elected to the board, I don't want to make any decisions that I feel it needs to be a certain way. It needs to come from everyone here in the lake, period.
Well, and you're just a normal, regular dude that lives in the lake who just decided to run because you're tired of seeing what you're seeing, right?
Yeah.
You work in the medical field. You're not a politician. You're not.
And I do have a job. I'm a manager of a medical gas supply company in Temecula. And I mean, where are we going with this? I just totally lost train of thought.
Oh,
I just veered off. I was trying to go into it.
No, I'm just super excited to see a regular guy.
Yeah, I'm not aspiring to be a political person by any means.
I like that.
I've never thought once that I was going to be doing this. And quite frankly, I made the decision the week before we had to turn in the intent to run forms.
And here you are.
We've always, as a family, or even anybody you talk to in the lake, they go, you should run for POA. No, you should run for POA. Yeah, And there's always an issue. Everyone always has a gripe, a grumble about the POA.
They're like, all right, I'll run.
Yeah. So that's what it was. Luckily, I had the time to be able to devote to this, and my wife holds down the fort with her job.
That's awesome.
And it's time for me to stand up and volunteer on behalf of everybody here, not just my beliefs. My beliefs stop at my front door, and that's my everyday life situation.
Me too.
When it comes, we can circle back. We can circle back to the flags.
Yeah.
I'll say it right now. I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
I had Trump flags. I didn't fly them on my house. I flew the American flag, and it's just my.
That's a flag everybody should be
100%
too.
I just didn't want to open myself up to. I didn't need to get into hot debates with my neighbors, and my neighbors next to me have a Biden flag, and they're sandwiched between Trump flags all over the place.
Yeah.
And they're the nicest couple I've ever met, and I'm so happy they're our neighbors. And they knew. She came out to me the other day, and she's like, just to let you know, you can put a yard sign in my yard. We completely support you. We might not have the same beliefs, political beliefs, but I think we need new blood in here.
I believe in you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And
that's rad.
It's awesome to see. And that's what we need in the lake. We don't need Facebook warriors out there fighting with each other. And I don't mean that to be mean to anybody.
Right there with you. Facebook warriors, man.
It's getting bad, and people are getting threatened through Facebook, and it's not a good thing. So
it circles back, as we all say, circles back to respect.
Oh, 100%.
That's respect. Respect your neighbors, respect your friends, respect the boat that's next to you, anchored in the water.
Every aspect of the lake. Yeah.
Just respect everybody. The kids that are on the street, don't be yelling at the kids.
You know you're not going to change your minds. They aren't going to change your minds. It's like if you grew up in let's just say the church, and you have deep-seated moral views. Nobody's just going to show up one day and be like, hey, let me talk to you, bro. Have a seat. And you'd be like, holy shit, I totally changed my mind. That's just not going to, it's just not going to happen.
No, because you're ingrained at a young age.
That's who you are.
Right, exactly.
So just let it all go and just be cool. Because those people are cool. They probably make better food than you too. And that's what life's really all about. It's about the goddamn food.
Yeah.
Right?
Food.
If you're not eating good food, you're wasting your life.
Food and fun.
As far as I'm concerned.
That's why I don't diet. I should be. COVID hit me hard.
Dieting's a waste of time. Yeah, just saying, it's a waste of time.
Why waste your time?
We're running really, really, really tight on time. We're actually over, so we need to punch these.
Okay. All right. Next question.
Just out of fairness for everybody.
You just told me to move on.
Sorry. Well, wait, just 1 second.
Right.
Read the next question.
Okay. Some members are calling for the Rules and Regulations Committee to be reinstated. What is your view on this matter?
100%. I think it should be an as needed thing. This is a volunteer situation.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to be having them convene on a weekly basis or a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Anything that comes with a rule revision that is outside of the scope of the board and needs a little bit of help from the outside, let's bring them in. And anything that needs to be amended still needs to be, if they come to a situation where it's a big deal rule revision like the recent ones we've been dealing with, it needs to go to a vote, and they can decide that and research, what's within the scope of the law in the Davis-Sterling Act.
Sounds good.
Sounds great. All right, next one. Says many POA ran amenities run at a financial loss, including the golf course and lighthouse restaurant. How do you plan to help them cash flow neutral or cash flow positive?
So You know, it's an interesting thing. I would like to get a collective feel from the community. What do they want to see in the Lighthouse Restaurant? What do they want to see with the golf course? You know, the golf course has a following where they don't want you to touch anything that has to do with the golf course. They don't want you to change anything. They don't want to add anything. They want to keep it status quo. I want to look at promotion side of the golf course. It's public now.
Yeah.
We don't. I see the side of the due payer users where they don't want too much public in, but what better way to get extra money that's not ours than from the public? So let's really promote the extra services, the weddings, the receptions. I mean, can you imagine having a wedding on the golf course? And we can have...
One of my best friends I grew up with did.
You're right.
And he's probably the only person that I know of living here since the 80s who has gotten married there. And it was probably one of the most beautiful weddings. That's a great idea.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead. Honey.
I was going to say that we looked at getting married at the Lighthouse at that point in time.
Yeah.
We only had family that lived here. So there's so many hoops to jump through, and I get it, calling people in and stuff like that.
The
So
clubhouse,
I
that's
think a
all
lot of
open,
times
wide open.
that, a lot of times that is like push people away from the Lighthouse, you know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
But why not get more people into the restaurant at the golf course?
Right.
You know what I mean? The
There's
views
plenty of
from the deck
facilities
is
to do it.
beautiful,
Yeah.
especially on days that, we're getting great days out now.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
easy, it's easily accessible to the public. It's a perfect way to bring in outside money into the POA, period. And we need to come to an agreement community-wide of what we can do to better it. We have lots of people that come from different backgrounds that can put in different input and different ideas. So let's get a thought together collectively and let's work on the golf course.
Yeah.
And as far as the Lighthouse Restaurant goes, so I don't know if you remember back in the 80s, in Holiday Harbor, that little shack that
Holiday Harbor wasn't Holiday Harbor.
No, it wasn't.
That
Holiday,
was the
yeah.
gas dock.
But
That was the store.
snack
the
shop.
whole-
I remember
Yeah.
as a kid getting off the boat, running up and getting ice cream,
Yeah.
coming back on the boat and taking off.
Yep.
I
All
want
the
to.
eucalyptus trees.
Yeah, exactly. So can we work on doing something like that at the Lighthouse Restaurant at the bottom? Something that's easy enough to come in from the boat,
Right.
get ice, get drinks, get snacks for the kids, fishing tackle. And another aspect of this is you have kids that are getting to the point where they're riding bikes. Well, when they want to have their little bit of freedom and go get snacks, as kids, we had to go outside the gates.
Yeah.
And as parents now, that scares the living crap out of me.
Or we could go to the campgrounds, to the vending machines.
I was just
but
thinking
that
of
was
the-
about it.
That was
We're
it.
Yeah.
typically going to the main gate or the east gate.
Yeah.
But I still think the campground, we're lacking something there. From just staying at
We
the
are.
campground. Yeah,
Well,
I know
I-
the play area. I don't know if they've redone it already, but I know they just put a bunch of money into it. That's great. But I feel like there's still something missing, like having this, snack place
They have
or
ice
have
and
a-
they got gas.
And they're getting a
Right.
new park. It's almost done.
Oh, really?
right.
Yeah, it's almost done.
They are getting
No, I
that.
love that idea. That's
Yeah.
actually one of my personal ideas. If I were to run, I would have ran on that.
Yeah.
That whole public dock down from the lodge should be a meeting point for boats to call in, say, hey, we need XYZ, whatever it is. You have a runner, bring it down. Maybe you have like numbers on the dock.
Yeah.
Like, we're parked at number 6
Right.
on the dock. Bring it down.
It's working for Best Buy. You know what I
Well,
mean? It's working for Kohl's.
It's working
all
for
those
A's
places.
Pizza or whoever else delivers. Because
Yeah.
you call them, say, hey, I'm at Sierra Park. I need 2 large pizzas, and they come down, they deliver it to your boat. You know what I mean? Why isn't the Lighthouse getting that business?
Well, I would like to have something like that because you just brought up kids on bikes. I literally had to go get our son a POA card because he wanted to go
Just
to
to go
the
to the East
market
Gate.
on the East
Right.
Gate, you know what I mean? Which scares the living
Oh,
daylights
yeah.
out of me. Him just going to the East Gate because we all know people go out of the lake or come from other areas outside the lake to the East Gate and maybe aren't in the sound mind. I've seen a few myself,
dare
you know
you.
what I mean? But for me to have to go and say, okay, well, now he needs a POA card to be able to go in and out.
Right.
And I just,
Well, he's with his buddies, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
His baseball buddies. So
that's kind of the only reason why I'm like, all right, that's fine. But
So yeah, giving the kids and the adults that little, you're coming off the boat and you want something and you're in board shorts and this takes away from you feeling uncomfortable going up to the restaurant. I mean the
well, it's
rest
such a long walk. Nobody wants to go all the way up there.
Yeah.
They just don't.
right.
I
Yeah.
also
Well,
have,
plus they have the sign, no shoes, no shirt, no service, right when you walk in, too. So they might kick you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, sorry. The other thing about Lighthouse and everybody correct me if I'm wrong. And maybe this is only like a week thing, but I just went there on Monday and they're closed. And I'm like, I get maybe
sucks.
paying if they are in a deficit,
if we
that's
can-
why they're closed on a Monday.
can
But
boost those numbers.
I would have just went and me and somebody else gone and gotten food there, and a drink or two.
Yeah.
Right.
I just, I think we should be open every single day of the week.
Yeah, so I know Tim Cook has got a few of the similar ideas that I have, even a little bit better ideas.
Yeah.
But utilize that underneath spot, because I doubt a lot of people are leasing out that spots for events. I mean,
Yeah.
there's 2 rooms down there, a smaller room and a bigger room. Let's look at exploring that and how big of an area we can do something like that down there.
It's a nice room down there too.
And like-minded events like Taco Tuesday. We only have Taco Tuesday, and it's a hit down there. And granted, the Lighthouse Restaurant does promotions during the week of certain style of food. I think they do Taco Tuesdays there too, don't they? Or not like during,
Yeah, no. Yeah, they
Not
have
Taco
like a Fish
Tuesdays, but-
Friday or whatever.
yeah.
They have some other nights, but it's not like Taco Tuesday.
So what about the rest of the year? Can we, obviously in the wintertime it's not desirable, but like
Brunch with Santa, brunch with the Easter Bunny.
Exactly.
Like those brunches
Those are a
could be
hit.
huge.
Those were a hit.
Huge hits.
yeah. So let's do that every year.
Yeah.
Let's expand it. October time, something with Halloween, pumpkins, pumpkin Thursday, pumpkin pie Thursday. I don't know. Again, let's
Figure it out.
Let's get together as a community. Let's bring our ideas together and let's help this business out. It's our business.
It is. It
And-
is our business. Yeah.
And even promotional deals, bring an outside friend, like a non-member. Bring a friend and you get a discount. Like, let's bring in outside money.
Yeah.
It can't solely be just us paying our own money into our own business.
Yeah, have
Eventually-
your guests show their guest pass for a 10 or 20% discount or
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all new business, right? That we're not going to get anyways.
and
I like that idea.
last point, maybe downgrade it to a little bit more casual, so you do feel comfortable coming up to the restaurant off a boat on the water. I know people like to go to the restaurant from their boat, but me and my wife and my kids after a Saturday, we all look pretty haggard.
I look
I'm
pretty
with you.
haggard after being
Right.
on the
So,
boat.
but you would feel
Totally.
completely uncomfortable going up and eating.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all. I'd totally roll up there.
He
but
would
shoot,
roll. I'd be in the boat. He'd have to get
I'm
food
in.
to go to bring back to me because
Let's roll.
yeah, being on the boat.
I'm totally
That's
in.
party time. I don't want to get into a restaurant at that point.
So yeah, I mean, there's more stuff we can go, but
I like your ideas for that. Actually, I
and
really
again,
do.
they're mine. They're my personal belief,
Yeah.
like ideas that I've came up with. But who knows? Everyone else can have way better ideas, and I
Sure.
want to hear them.
Yeah,
well,
right.
they used to bring food out to the pool. Why don't they go a little bit further and walk it down to a dock? You
Right.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I get it that there's going to be somebody who's going to tell me no because of this reason or because of that reason. But if you're already taking stuff to the pool, then
Yeah.
Might as well sell beer too.
Well, and it gives people from the pool
I know
access to
that'd be a
food.
very, very, very unpopular topic of selling beer from the boat dock, but I mean, you can call these delivery services and have beer delivered. Why are we missing out on those sales? I know that's kind
Probably
of dipping into the safety side
Insurance nightmare. a
of
little bit.
everything too. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could be looked into. When you go out to the river, you can stop at any bar along the river and have those services. It all
Yeah.
just goes back to being responsible, and I'm not sure if we're there yet as a community. I love you guys, but I'm not sure if we're there yet. If you guys want to be more responsible, we're gonna get the POA to sell us beer down at the dock. We're gonna boost these numbers with alcohol. I'm joking.
If I get elected, I do not endorse that statement.
No, it's all me. I'm just kidding. No. What's the next question?
So this is our last and final question I have. If elected, what are your top 3 priorities you plan to tackle in your first 100 days?
This is a loaded question because, quite honestly, I think there's more than 3 issues going on in the lake that we all
Yeah.
need to do. But between bridge the informational gap between the POA to the members, they have worked a lot. They've worked hard on getting information out. Their system is pretty good. You can pick and choose on what you want to be informed with through email and text message, which is great. But when I'm still hearing from community members that still don't know what's going on, there's somewhere there that we need to tap in. We need to figure out that
Yeah.
little extra inch to get that word to them.
It's a missing gap.
The little signs at the guard shacks coming out is not good enough for some of these people. And we do have a lot of people that aren't tech savvy. I'm not very tech savvy at all.
Yeah.
So I just barely could figure out, you know, I think when we bought a house, one of the girls in the POA office pretty much did almost everything on my phone for it. But that gap, we need to figure out what that gap is. We need to get to the community and see what we need to do to inform the community better.
I have an idea. The Lone Wolf Podcast.
You just need to keep it going. You just locked yourself in
subscribe.
for a while.
That's fine. No, I really enjoy doing it. Dude, I tell you what, it takes a lot of time to put this production together. It really does.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, it's a solid 48 hours a week.
Yeah.
Solid, right? But I don't mind doing it, especially in these trying times, especially when I see overreach. Like, I'm a protector. Like, I'm a community protector. If I don't know you and I happen to be getting gas somewhere and I believe that, like, you're being taken advantage of in some way, shape, or form, I'm going to fucking step up and I'm going to say something. Like, that's who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Much like you candidates, but better than me, you're actually running to really do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just kind of, that's where I come from. That's my take on it. It just drives me crazy, dude. It just really does. Like, I feel like I need to do something, but I can't do everything either.
You're doing something big right now, both of you. So this is pretty incredible. And this is one of those, you know, platforms that we need to look into. Short and sweet things during the week. People don't have time to read these massive long messages on the way home from work, or even tune into a 2-hour board meeting.
Print's dead.
Yeah.
And board meetings are boring.
The Zoom is great, but quite frankly, 2 hours watching a Zoom meeting while you're making dinner and kids are screaming all over the house, you cannot figure out what's happening, period.
Yeah.
And especially if you have an issue, you have to wait to the comment period, and it's not a good platform to get responses from the community.
Well, then you lose all your points. You know, even if you wrote them all down, like, you kind of lose your whole direction, your motivation, your points, and what you want to talk about.
And people are nervous. You know, and I totally get. I'm nervous doing the show right now. It took a lot for me to say, "Hey,
look
JJ
nervous.
will come."
You look great.
You make it easy. You guys make it really easy.
It's just talking, you know
We're
what I mean?
easy.
And what you're saying is genuine. So it just comes out, and it's just easy to have a conversation when someone's just genuine.
Right.
That's all
You know
we're
what I mean?
doing.
And
We're just talking here.
and that's it.
So the second thing I would like to do is you know, I think every board member is wanting to do this, is connect with all the groups, all the committees, see what they feel is lacking with the POA board on certain issues, and what's going great. Get the feedback from them, and then, like I've said many times throughout this thing, is get the feedback from the community.
Yeah.
Start right away on figuring out how do I get that platform where we all can come together, and. You know, I skipped over my second point. My second point was right away dive into the financials of the lighthouse, the country club, and the golf course.
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, we have businesses within the lake that are losing money. And on any business platform, when you're an owner to a manager, you cannot sustain having a nonprofit business losing money, or a profit business losing money constantly every month. It just doesn't work. Eventually, it's going to bite us in the rear. So we need to really figure that out. Granted,
It already is.
They've done a very good job curbing the shortcomings of the lighthouse as far as, you know, their budget. They came a long way. So
done a nice
let's keep
job.
going.
Yeah.
There's only so much more to go. We're almost there. Even if we can get them neutral, would be great.
I think it all stands with marketing. Like, we need to get more Canyon Lakers in that beautiful place. That place is gorgeous.
Oh, 100%.
It's arguably the most beautiful restaurant in Southwest Riverside County.
Yeah.
I mean, with the exception of the wineries, where else can you go and sit at a table that's 100% glass with a 180-degree view of the lake, have incredible food for a nominal price, full cocktail service, good service, have a good time, literally walking distance from just about everyone who lives here? I don't understand it.
And
We need to get more Canyon Lakers in the lighthouse, in the country club.
Yeah.
Their breakfast is amazing. They have actual real chefs. Somebody who comes from a cooking background, they have real chefs. They hire chefs, right? That's part of the deficit. That's part of where that deficit comes from. So I don't know why we aren't taking more advantage of that. And I think if we could market more to it and get more people there.
Well, it'd be nice if you know, think if every household can just guarantee themselves coming once a week to that restaurant, once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
because not everyone uses that restaurant. If we can commit to coming every 2 weeks or even once a month, we can push it to once a month. We do way better than what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And honestly, the food there is great. You know what I mean? We just went there recently. The food is really good. And, even if you can't go there because, just like us, have kids, have jobs, you're exhausted, just go there, get something to go home, have it in the comfort of your own home.
Right.
Their chicken wraps are unreal.
Yeah, they are.
That's the second time I've heard you say that.
They're so good.
They must be great.
We just had a breakfast club there last week.
That was a
And those
blast.
chicken
I was
wrap-
gonna
those chicken
mention
wraps,
that.
dude.
That's an
Oh
awesome
my
thing.
God.
I'm bummed that I missed it, but
It's not my idea. There's another broker doing it out of Fallbrook area, and she's super rad. But I love the idea so much. I just wanted to do it, and we were successful on our first one recently.
It was
Left a
blast.
$641 tip
that's great.
for was there 10 of us, 9 of us, something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe 9 plus a couple kids.
Mm-hmm.
Super rad. We're gonna do it once a month. We're gonna continue doing it. That's sponsored by Underline Energy Concepts. They do solar and heat and air and roofing here in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have solar?
Not yet.
Do you?
Not
Give them a
yet.
call. They're super. They live right here in town. They're Canyon Lakers. They're good people, and they actually sell it. I think
Okay.
it makes sense.
Yeah, they were next on my bid list. I went
Yeah.
through a few so far. I haven't liked one yet, so we'll see.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We'll send them down there.
All right.
Yeah, grind on them a little bit. No, they're good people.
Well,
At
good.
any rate, yeah, they sponsor the Breakfast Club deal, and I think we're going up to the main gate on the next one. I don't want to
Yeah.
shout. I don't want to.
We can't say
I almost
where.
said the
Don't say it.
restaurant.
Don't
You
say
almost-
it.
you almost
Dude,
blew it
I
last
almost
time.
I almost blew it last time
On Renee's
too.
thing. Yep, I saw
Yeah.
that.
But it's a super good concept or cause. If you guys know any starving college students, single moms, single dads, any servers around us that have been impacted by COVID or just are trying to make a way for themselves and trying to build themselves up, let us know. Please send us a message. You can email me, jj@thelonewolf.us. You can text me, 951-333-7922. You can send smoke signals. You can send Facebook Messenger.
Anything.
Yeah, whatever. That's our biggest hang up is finding
finding
the
the
right
people.
servers, vetting servers to go out and do the breakfast club with. We have tons of people who want to be involved. I mean, tons of people. I'm so
I was
proud.
a starving college student. I served for
Me
7.5
too.
years.
I served
so
too. I think a lot
I've
of us
served
have.
Pepe's.
Right? Yeah. Were you?
I worked at Pepe's.
Did you?
I was a busboy at Pepe's. I
Were
wasn't a
you?
server, but a busboy.
You didn't recycle chips, did you?
No, absolutely not. Despite all the rumors out there, they're not all true. Believe me.
That's funny.
yeah, no, we would love to get more applicants, more people that we can help out, and we'd like to stay somewhat close. We know some of our Canyon Lake kids
Elsinore,
or college students or
Menifee.
parents
Sure.
Yeah.
are in
Yeah.
Menifee. We have a whole group of the restaurants over there, but we're going to the center next.
Yes, we are.
You're not allowed to say anything
very,
more about
very
it.
soon. If you're interested, hit us up, please. It's super fun, super cool. Even if you don't know us and it's your first time, we're more than welcoming. We'd love to have you, and I'm sure the local businesses and the servers would love to have you as well. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. We're here to help with that. We already finished our last question?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
did,
that was
right?
it.
Yeah, I
Sounds
flew right
good.
through them.
Brad Foland.
Bradley Foland with an F.
Bradley Foland, not Poland, not to be confused with Chris
What are
Poland.
the odds of that, right?
Right? Which Chris Poland's going to be on the show next week. No relation.
Nope.
But this is Brad Foland.
Yes, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you coming on and being precise and not beating
Yeah.
around questions.
I really,
what I
yeah.
mean, giving straight answers. I think it's
I
a
really
breath of
enjoyed
fresh
the
air to have
interview.
someone give straight answers and just
Yeah.
be down to earth. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
good dude.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. This is a great thing for candidates to get out there and, show who they are and a real connect. You can get a real connection with the community this way. And
Well, I know that it's a big undertaking showing up at somebody's place that you don't know with
Yeah.
the bright lights in your face and the whole set and everything else can be a little bit overwhelming.
yeah.
So like people who show up and put their balls on the bandsaw like that, I have nothing but mad respect for. So, Brad
I
Foland,
appreciate that.
I really enjoyed the interview.
Thank you very much. And members, if you guys have any questions, comments, want to shoot anything my way, just go to Bradley Foland for POA at Gmail. That's my email address, and just shoot me. I don't care. Shoot me a message any time of the night. I'll get it. I might not respond at 1:00 in the morning, but I'll get to you.
Do you have any sort of a meet and greet planned yet?
No,
Are you working on that, or?
I really don't.
Okay.
Considering my wife in the medical field and
you're
myself,
busy. Yep.
Not necessarily busy. We're so concerned about taking something to work with us. You know, ethically, I don't think we're in the right position to do that.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to work on short little videos. It's very hard for me to do. I took about 1,000 takes of a video the other night. I just got frustrated. So if you want to shoot me an email, shoot it my way, and I'll respond. That's the best way to
Sounds
get
great.
to me.
Good deal.
right now.
We really, really appreciate it. Canyon Lake, Lone Wolf loves you. Reach out to us. Anything you need. We are your real estate and mortgage brokers right here in Canyon Lake. If you have any real estate related questions, any mortgage related questions, we'd be happy to help you. Happy to answer your questions. We are your guys.
And gals.
Liz is your girl. This is my beautiful wife, by the way. I already told you that, but she is a absolute stud when it comes to.
Thank you for putting this on.
To buying and selling. I handle more of the mortgage world, but and I like to interview people too. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for next week, Friday at 6. We've got the remaining 2 candidates coming on, Chris Poland, Tim Cook. It's going to be a great show. Following week, we're going to sum it all up with some local community influencers, and we're going to ask who they're endorsing. So I know that probably doesn't matter to most people. I don't care what other people endorse, but if you're interested in hearing insight from other people like us, that's what we're going to be doing. So Canyon Lake, we love you. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.
Have a great night.
Love each other.